Chapter 1148. Her intuition told her that the person who almost killed her was too dangerous. If he let Senior's sister and the others follow him, he didn't know what would happen. On the other hand, Deja and the others who were far ahead of them noticed that Sima Yue was following them. "Master, Mrs. Bees are following us." The ghost master waved his hand, and a few scarlet bees were sucked out. Although they could suppress their spiritual power, it was not easy to hide things with vitality in front of the ghost clan, not to mention a powerful person like the ghost master. Deja looked at the scarlet bees and seemed to see Sima Yue's familiar face. He hesitated and said, "Kill them, master." The guard behind him called out. This was the pet of his favorite aunt's daughter. How could he kill it just like that? On the other hand, Deja seemed to have understood something. He regained his usual calmness and ruthlessness. "Let's not let her know that we're going to do that." As he spoke, he released a burst of spirit energy, killing all of the scarlet bees. "Let's go. We must find that place before the Wonderland closes." They continued on their way, leaving behind the corpses of the scarlet bees. After a while, Sima Yue and Little Seven came to the scarlet bees. "They're not dead yet, Ching," he said. Sima Yue could sense that they were still alive. They were probably just knocked out by the aura of death. She kept the scarlet bees back into her spirit pagoda. Looking at Deja's attitude, her guess became more and more certain. According to the grudges of Bright Red Mountain Peak, Deja and the others should have wanted to kill him when they saw him. However, they didn't do anything. They even spared Scarlet Bee's life when they found out that he was following them. If it wasn't for the conjecture in her heart, she couldn't think of any other reason why he would do this. That place, where is it? Did they come here for some other purpose? She couldn't think of an answer because she didn't know what they were going to do next. The scarlet bees were discovered by them. "I don't know where they went." Little Seven said, "Then we won't be able to get the 100 Ghost Banner." Lin said that the 100 Ghost Banner had to be in her hands. Now that she didn't know where the members of the Ghost Clan had gone, how was she going to snatch it? Ching Yi saw the slight disappointment on Little Seven's face and said, "I can roughly determine the direction, but it might not be very accurate. But the general direction should be right." "Really? Why didn't I know that you have the ability to track people?" Little Seven held on to Ching Yi's arm and asked, "How would I know how to track?" Ching Yi said, "It's just that they're from the Ghost Clan and have the aura of death on them. Wherever they pass by, they leave behind some aura. I could sense a faint aura of death. If it was a human, he might not be able to do it, but the Tree of Life was naturally sensitive to life and death energy, so it could sense it. If there were other Ghost Clansmen appearing at the same time, he might not be able to do it." "Thank you," Sima Yue said gratefully. With Ching Yi's guidance, Sima Yue ordered Chongming to continue searching for them. A day or two later, they ran into trouble. What happened? There were two groups of Ghost Clansmen that went their separate ways. "I don't know who they are either." Ching Yi pointed in two directions. Sima Yue looked around. The two directions weren't very far, but if they looked in the wrong direction, it would be almost impossible to find them again. She randomly pointed in a direction and said, "Go this way." She wasn't sure if this direction was right, but she could only try. Reality proved that her intuition was wrong. The group of Ghost Clansmen that they caught up with was not Deja and the rest. When those Ghost Clansmen saw Sima Yue and felt her delicious soul, they were all moved. "This human soul is so fragrant. Prince will go and bring her soul over to you." The guards beside the 15th prince saw him drooling when he saw Sima Yue, and all of them flattered him. "All right." The 15th prince wiped the saliva from the side of his mouth. "I've never seen such a fragrant soul in the ghost realm." A little boy beside the 15th prince looked at Sima Yue and said, "Prince, this person is the child of a ghost clan and a human clan. Is that so? I was wondering why this soul is so fragrant." The 15th prince felt that he couldn't control himself anymore. He wanted to eat her up immediately. "Prince, we'll go and kill her now," those guards said as they flew towards Sima Yue. "Wait." The little boy stopped them. "Wu-Li, if you have anything to say it later." The 15th prince said impatiently. "Prince, I felt an aura similar to yours from that person." Di Wu-Yi said, "Oh." The 15th prince turned his gaze towards Sima Yue. He really couldn't resist her deliciousness and said, "Don't talk about similar, even if she's my biological sister. I'll eat her up today. Hurry up and go." "Yes, prince." Those guards flew away. Diwu still wanted to stop them. To have an aura similar to the prince and to be the descendant of a ghost clan, her identity was obvious. Someone beside Diwu pulled him and said, "Wu Yi, don't you know the prince's character? Just like what he said, even if she's his biological sister, he'll eat her up. If she's really his biological sister, I'm afraid she would have been killed when she was born." Diwu thought about it and agreed. He really couldn't understand why the family would choose such a person to support, and even want him to follow him. Sima Yue and the rest saw that these ghosts were not Deja and the rest. Just as they wanted to turn and leave, they saw those ghosts attacking them. "Keek, weak human, our prince has his eyes on your soul. So, hand over your soul obediently." Those people laughed weirdly at Sima Yue. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. They wanted to eat her soul? Little Seven, Little Dream, and Hua Hua looked at each other and saw the anger in each other's eyes. Their master, these people dared to have designs on her? You, leave these people to us. Little Dream took a step forward and clasped her hands together. "Let's do it too." Little Seven let go of Qing and jumped to Little Dream's side. "How can you leave me out of this kind of thing?" Hua said. 3 contracted beasts. Although those ghosts were surprised that she had so many contracted beasts, they still didn't think much of her. They had so many people. Were they afraid that they couldn't take her down? Their prince liked delicious souls. Because of this, they killed many ghosts, not to mention the humans they met. "These people's eyes are so disgusting." Little Seven said, "Let's compete and see who can kill more people." "All right." Hua Hua turned her 10 fingers into vines, and flirtatious flowers bloomed on them. "The person who wins will be Big Sister. Then let's begin." Little Dream finished speaking and took the lead to attack those ghosts. Chapter 1149. The ghosts were still laughing when they heard Hua Hua's bet. These contracted beasts were too naive. You want to kill them? You want to see who can kill the most? You must be dreaming. However, when Hua Hua and the others attacked, they realized that this group of people was not easy to deal with. These 3 people killed people as if they were cutting melons. They were simply 3 life harvesters. Man-eating flower king. Nightmare race. What's the other one? How can he be so powerful? The people from the Ghost Clan were obviously frightened by their battle prowess. The first batch of people who went were all killed in a few moves. Hua Hua leaped and landed on a flower. She smiled flirtatiously. "Just now, I think I killed the most." "Hua Hua, that's because you have a lot of flowers. That might not be the case later on." Little Seven said. She was clearly the strongest, but Floey had killed so many of them at once. Floey had killed more than her. She was depressed. "That's right." Little Dream looked at those people. "It's not the end yet. It's hard to say who will win and who will lose." Then let's continue." When the Ghost Clan's people saw that their people were killed, although they were surprised by their strength, they didn't plan to give up. "You guys keep going. You must capture that soul for me." The 15th prince said. "Yes, your highness." Hua Hua and the others might not have been able to handle it if they had sent everyone at the start. However, if they were to spread out like this, it would give them a chance to take them down one by one. Diwu saw this, although he was unhappy that they did not listen to his advice. But now that the arrow was already on the bow, he had no choice but to release it. He said, "Everyone attack together." Previously, there were only a few dozen people. Little Dream and the others could deal with them one by one. However, when there were more people, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. Although they could ensure that they would not be injured, they could not guarantee that those people would not attack Sima Yue. After all, no ordinary person could be the guard of a ghost prince. When Sima Yue saw those people attacking her, she used her mind and her entire body was enveloped in flames. Qing stood at the same spot, and those people could not even get close. The moment they got close to Sima Yue, they were all burned to ashes by her flames. "Little birdie, you haven't come out to play for a long time, right?" The flames on Sima Yoyue's body shrunk into a ball and turned into a vermilion bird that landed on her hand. Go, I'll let you have some fun today. As soon as the Death Race people saw this flame, they felt a terrifying heat and felt a sense of fear from the bottom of their hearts, causing them to instinctively run back. However, little birdie did not give them a chance to escape. Its body expanded infinitely in the wind, turning into a huge bird that covered the sky. In an instant, it enveloped those people. The moment they were touched by the flames, those ghost clan members were turned into ashes. In an instant, over 100 people were gone just like that. The ghost clansmen were so frightened that their faces turned pale. Little birdie, on the other hand, became excited and continued to fly towards the remaining people. Sima Yue watched as those people were engulfed by the flames. They did not even have the time to scream before they died. She sighed as Qi Yin started to recover his strength. Even little birdie's power had increased greatly. Quickly protect the prince. Everyone panicked. This flame was the ghost clan's nemesis, especially the powerful flames. For someone like little birdie, it could be said that they were completely helpless. Di Wu Yi saw this, and although he was unwilling, he still stood in front of the 15th prince. The family's orders were to ensure the prince's safety. Although he did not like this prince, he still had to carry out the family's orders. He knew that this flame belonged to Sima Yue. He said, "This human, this is the 15th prince of the ghost realm. Please show mercy. The ghost clan will be eternally grateful." Sima Yue glanced at that prince and said slowly, "The prince of the ghost realm? Are you saying that the people that the prince of the ghost realm has his eyes on should offer their souls? If they are unwilling, they should kill them directly. If they are unable to kill, they should use their identity to suppress them?" Speaking of which, that was indeed the case. Little birdie stopped, as if she was waiting for Sima Yoyue's instructions. "If it wasn't for the fact that I happen to have something to restrain you guys, would I be killed by you guys and have my soul eaten by him?" Sima Yue asked again. "You want to kill a person, but you can't kill him. Then you use your identity to suppress him. Do you think this is useful? We were in the wrong previously. We are willing to compensate you." Di Wu Yi said. "Compensate?" Sima Yue laughed softly. "I'm not interested in other people's things. But if people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I will kill them no matter how far they are. The 15th prince is the Ghost King's most beloved prince. If you kill him, you will definitely anger the Ghost King and receive revenge from the Ghost Clan. Although you have a flame that can restrain us, but you can't win against the entire Ghost Clan." Di Wu Yi said, "Even if it happens one day, I will take my revenge today." Sima Yue said, "Are you sure you want to be the enemy of the entire Ghost Clan?" Di Wu Yi asked. He secretly activated the spiritual energy in his body. If they really fought, he could gain the upper hand by striking first. "I don't want to be the enemy of the entire Ghost Clan. I am only taking revenge for myself. But if you want to make the entire Ghost Clan my enemy, then I am not afraid. As the saying goes, counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir." Sima Yue said, "I noticed you just now. You told them not to take action. Unfortunately, your words carry little weight. This prince did not take you seriously." Di Wu Yi's face darkened, but he did not refute. If they had listened to him before, this wouldn't have happened. And the 15th prince who was behind him was so scared that he could not move. The opponent was just one person and a few spiritual beasts. How could they be so powerful? This time, they really kicked an iron board. But that person's soul smelled really good. It must be even more delicious. Sima Yue saw that Prince's gaze did not change. What an unrepentant fellow. "Little birdie, treat these people well. Oh, don't kill that person first. I need to keep him alive." Once little birdie received the order, it continued to have fun and burned all the ghost clansmen to ashes. Don't burn me." The 15th prince wanted to resist, but he could not withstand little birdie's power. After a scream, he was burned to ashes too. Little birdie had already passed by Di Wu Yi when it passed by it, but it was trapped by it and could not move. In the end, the entire ghost clan was killed. Only Di Wu Yi was left. "Little Seven, go and catch him for me. I need him in the future." Sima Yue said. Okay, Di Wui alone was not Little Seven's opponent. He was caught very quickly. What's the result? Wawa played with her hair and asked the other two. This competition was interrupted because of Little Birdie. It seemed like the agreement from before was not valid. The three of them thought so, but Little Birdie flew in front of them and blocked their way. Chapter 1150. Read 336. What? Wawa looked at Little Birdie, not knowing why it was blocking their way. Little Birdie spread its wings, raised its head slightly, and puffed out its chest. However, Little Dream and the other two still did not understand what she meant. It was Sima Yu who laughed out loud, saying, "Little Birdie is saying that it killed the most people." Little Birdie nodded. That was exactly what it meant. Little Seven and the other two's faces instantly darkened. They said that whoever was the most powerful would be the big sister, but this did not include other people. Xiaomeng looked at Little Birdie and said indifferently, "Can you transform into a human?" Then he walked around it. Huahua smiled and said, "Are you a girl?" Then he walked around it. Little Seven was still carrying Du-E. "Little Birdie, move away. This is for adults to play. You're still young." Then he walked around it. Little Birdie was very sad. They were ignoring her. It flew into Sima Yoyue's hand and turned into a small bird. Sima Yue patted her head and said, "Be good. Don't play with them. Besides, you're not a woman. Do you want to be the big sister?" Little Birdie became even more depressed. Even she had said so. Humph, it didn't want to be a girl. But it was a fact that it had killed the most these women who reneged on their debts. It rubbed against Sima Yoyue's hand before returning to her body. "Really?" Little Seven helplessly shook her head and said, "Yu, why did you capture this person?" Understand the aura of a ghost. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she brought everyone into the spirit pagoda. When the 15th prince died, the ghost master paused and said, "The 15th prince is dead." "That idiot is dead?" Deja was slightly taken aback, but quickly regained his composure and said, "That idiot was always so full of himself. It's good that he's dead. But I wonder who killed him. I should really express my gratitude to that person." The 15th prince was someone he had always wanted to kill. However, not only was he the Ghost King's child, his mother's family was also very strong. And for some unknown reason, even the Diwu family was with them. Therefore, even if he wanted to, he could only endure that idiot. Even if they had met before, he did not dare to make a move. "We'll find out," said the Ghost Master. "How do you know?" The guard behind him asked. "The 15th prince is dead. The Anaheim will definitely know about it. The royal family has a secret method that can send information directly into our minds." The Ghost Master said, "The Anaheim will definitely not let that person go. She will definitely order us to take revenge." Thinking of that secret technique, the Ghost Master's body emitted a chill. Although it disappeared in an instant, Deja still noticed it. Others might not know what it was, but as someone from a family that was related to the royal family, he knew. "Master, don't worry. I will definitely find a part of your soul for you," Deja said. The Ghost Master nodded. People with their strength were not all willing to serve the royal family. Why were there so many of them? It was because a part of their soul was separated, and that part of their soul was secretly imprisoned by the royal family. On one hand, they gave them supreme glory. On the other hand, they used that part of their soul to control them. The Ghost Master was Deja's mother, the personal bodyguard of the Ghost World's eldest princess. He was a person who had lost a part of his soul. In the past, Deja was not valued in the family. However, after Yukoluo completely unlocked his talent, he became more and more dazzling in the family. That was why his mother gave the Ghost Master to him to protect him. "Ghost Master, how do you know that the 15th prince is dead?" Someone asked. "When we met before, I left a mark on him. Now that mark has disappeared," said the Ghost Master. The mark disappeared, which meant that the person had completely disappeared. He even dared to kill the Ghost King's favorite, the 15th prince. "Does that person want to pierce through the sky?" Someone said. "Who is it? We will know in a while." The Ghost Master was rarely curious. When they met before, the 15th prince was not only accompanied by the Diwu family. There were also many experts. Their strength could not be said to be weak. However, now that he was killed, he did not know who the other party was. Very quickly, he found out that this was not done by a power, but by someone he knew. Just as he said before, the Ghost Clan quickly found out about the 15th prince's death. The frantic Anaheim used a secret technique to send out the image of the 15th prince's death. She wanted the people in the immortal land to kill these people. He sent out the image. When Deja saw the familiar figures of Sima Yue and Little Seven, he almost fell off the flying beast. How could it be her? Didn't they just separate for 2 days? How could she cause such a big trouble? The Ghost Master was not very surprised. Sima Yue was not far from them. If they met the 15th prince, it was not impossible for her to overtake them. Her soul was very fragrant. The 15th prince who liked to eat souls would not miss her. If they made a move, based on her performance in the bright red mountain peak, she would definitely fight back. He knew that she had that flame on her body. With that flame, even the Imperial Guards might not be able to resist it for even half a minute. Furthermore, when he saw the flame in the image, he felt that this flame was more powerful than before. The Imperial family has issued a warrant for the Ghost Clan in the Immortal Land to join forces to kill her, said the Ghost Master. So, from now on, she might be attacked by many Ghost Clan. If they do not succeed, the Anaheim might send someone else. Deja closed his eyes and took a deep breath, saying she should be fine. That's hard to say. The Ghost Master said, since we already know that she has a flame, if the people in the Immortal Land can't get rid of her, when the Anaheim sends someone, I'm afraid that there will be a ghost weapon that counters her. When that time comes, she might not be able to resist. This is really troublesome, Deja said. Master, you take some people to protect her. I will continue to look for that place. My task is to protect you. I can't leave you to protect others, said the Ghost Master. But she is in danger. I can't just stand by and watch. Deja said, but I can't give up the purpose of coming here. Indeed, the Ghost Master said, but I won't give up my position because of this. Then what should we do? Don't worry. In the beginning, she can still handle it. As long as you can find that place before the Anaheim comes and complete our purpose of coming here, then you can protect her later, said the Ghost Master. That's the only way. Deja believed that she, who could even kill the 15th prince, would not be killed by the Ghost Clan. Chapter 1151. Sima Yue did not know about the Ghost Clan. Even if she knew, she would not take it to heart. Wasn't it just a Ghost Clan? No matter how many of them came, there was nothing to be afraid of. As long as little birdie was here, they would be completely restrained. She brought Duwu Yi into the Spirit Pagoda, and Little Seven then released him. In here, with Little Spirit around, even if he wanted to kill himself, it would be impossible. Duwu Yi was shocked when he noticed the change in the environment, but he quickly returned to normal. This woman was indeed not an ordinary person. Thinking about it, if it was an ordinary person, would they be able to kill so many Ghost Clan experts? What's your name? Sima Yue took out 2 chairs and sat down. She saw Duwu Yi, who was looking at her cautiously. She waved her hand and said, sit. Why did you capture me? Duwu Yi asked. Why didn't you kill me? Is it just because I spoke up for her before? Sima Yue saw that he didn't want to sit and didn't force him. She glanced at him and said, do you think it's possible? Duwu Yi shook his head. Impossible. Smart. Sima Yue said, I asked you to stay because I want to ask you something. What are you asking me about? Duwu Yi looked at her scheming face and instinctively put up his guard, saying, if you want me to betray my family, that's impossible. Your family? I don't even know your name. Why would I want you to betray your family? Sima Yue asked. Then what do you want to ask? Answer me first. What's your name? Do you want me to keep calling you hey? Sima Yue asked. Fifth, it's rare for you to do something like this. Sima Yue said, your family isn't royalty, right? If that was the case, he would not have gone to protect the prince. The royal family's surname is Yu. Duwu Yi said, the prince you killed is called Yu Duo. Does he have a high status in the royal family? Yes, his mother, Anaheim's family, is very powerful, and my king is very fond of him. If you kill him now, they won't let you go. Duwu Yi said. They won't let you off either, right? Sima Yue looked at him. You were ordered to protect him, but you could do nothing as he died in front of you. The royal family and your family won't let you go, right? Di Wui looked at Sima Yue and said angrily, "It's all your fault." "It's my fault, but you're not angry, isn't it?" Sima Yue said with a smile. Di Wui did not expect her to see through his thoughts and was stunned for a moment. "Nonsense," he denied, but his voice was not very confident. "Am I spouting nonsense?" Sima Yue said, "Although your eyes look very angry that I killed your master, there is no sadness in your eyes. There is even a kind of relief. Am I right?" Di Wui was silent. Sima Yue smiled and continued, "You didn't want to follow that prince. You followed him because of your family's orders. You even wanted to kill him, but you didn't dare. What are you trying to say?" Di Wui did not like the feeling of being seen through and looked at her cautiously. "What I want to say is actually very simple. Since you wanted to kill him, I helped you to kill him. So you don't have to look at me as if you have a deep hatred." Sima Yue said. Di Wui was silent again, and Sima Yue did not rush him. "I'm already betraying my family by doing this." After being silent for a while, he said, "But I really can't stand 15th Prince's behavior. I don't understand why my family wants to get involved with them, and I don't care. But I can't stand their arrangement to let my family members protect him. Do you know, originally, with my ability, I wasn't supposed to protect him, but because he likes to tease me, he appointed me to protect him. Every time I see him doing those things, even if I'm also from the Ghost Clan, I can't stand it. A person like him shouldn't be alive." Sima Yue saw that he was so angry. It seemed like this person was really a scumbag. "Now that you've killed him, then please kill me too," Di Wui said, "or else my family will have to bear the wrath of the royal family because of me." "You want to die so badly?" Sima Yue looked at him. "Since your family can be with the royal family, it means that your family's ability is not weak. Would the royal family dare to exterminate your family because of your dereliction of duty? I don't think so, but I can't go back anymore." Di Wui said, "There's no difference between me being alive and being dead. The funny thing is, I once thought of killing him and then committing suicide, but I didn't have the courage." "Why would you commit suicide when you're living well?" Sima Yue said, "It's a good thing to cherish life. What's there to be ashamed of?" Di Wui looked at her in shock. She was the first to tell him that there was nothing to be ashamed of. This was totally different from what he had been taught in the past. What's there to be surprised about? Sima Yue looked at his shocked expression, looking at him pitifully. "But I still can't go back. You don't look like a ruthless person, so you..." Di Wui smiled bitterly. No matter what, he couldn't go back to the ghost realm, much less his family. He didn't have the courage to commit suicide. He could only place his hopes on her. "Don't worry. I won't kill you," Sima Yue said. "Just stay here and tell me what you want to know." "Isn't this what you want to know?" Di Wui asked. This is all about you. Before I met you, I didn't even know about your existence. Why would I care about your matters?" Sima Yue said. "Then what do you want to know?" "I saw what you said to that prince." Sima Yue said, "You said that I have a similar aura to him." Di Wui looked at her. She heard it from such a far distance. "I can read the shape of your lips." Sima Yue said, "What do you mean by a similar aura?" "You have the aura of the Ghost Clan." Di Wui said, "You're definitely not referring to this. If not, you wouldn't say it's similar. You're saying that I have the aura of the Ghost Clan." Sima Yue said, "I'm not sure." Di Wui said, "It's just a guess." "What guess? Tell me." "You have the royal bloodline." Di Wui said, "Royal bloodline?" She recalled a long time ago, when she was in Yilan Continent, when she entered Dragon Reflection Mountain, she once scared away an underworld beast. If she wasn't from the Ghost Realm's royal family, how could she have such power? As it turned out, she should have guessed a little about her background a long time ago. Chapter 1152. Read 336. If she had the blood of the Ghost Clan's royal family, then wouldn't her mother be a member of the royal family? Di Wui saw that she was deep in thought and said, "Actually, you're still young. There aren't many royals who came to the human race this year, and even fewer princesses. Overall, there are only a few of them, so it's easier to guess. You know? Sima Yue asked. I want to protect the 15th prince, so I naturally know a little about the royal family. If you're under 50 years old, then your mother is most likely the Dark Princess, because she was the only one who came to the human realm in the past 50 years. If you're between 50 and 100 years old, you might be one of the other 3 princesses. Dark Princess? Yes, Dark Princess Yukaluo. She is a legendary princess with both beauty and wisdom, but unfortunately, Diwui nodded, his eyes filled with sadness. She was also his goddess, but unfortunately, her whereabouts were unknown. Dark Princess Yukaluo. Sima Yu muttered her name a few times in her heart. This was the first time she heard about her mother. If this Dark Princess was really her mother, then it would be. Both of them fell into silence. Diwui returned to reality from his memory and saw the faint smile on her lips. He said, You're not even 50 years old yet? Sima Yue nodded. Then you are really the daughter of the Dark Princess. Diwui had a faint bitterness in his mouth. She really had a child with someone else in the human realm. May I know your name? Sima Yue. Sima Yue came back to her senses and realized that the way he looked at her seemed a little different. Sima Yue. That man's surname was Sima? You don't want your child to have your surname? Sima Yue looked at Diwui's strange expression and said, You know my mother? I know her. She might not remember me anymore. Diwu, he said. What do you mean? Diwui was once again immersed in his memories, recalling the few times he had met her. He was chosen to be Yudu's personal guard so that he could fool him at any time. Although they were from the same generation, his talent was higher than Yudu's, and his strength was also higher. Because of the power of the Diwu family, Yudu did not dare to kill him, but he still insulted him from time to time. He had heard many things about Dark Princess Yukaluo, but the first time he saw her was when he became a guard for 2 years. At that time, because he was unwilling to kill a child for Yudu, Yudu ordered people to strip him naked and hang him on the path to the palace. Everyone who passed by looked at him with disdain and ridicule. Some people even stopped to watch how he was being teased. Only Yukaluo stopped and ordered people to let him go. If it was someone else, Yudu might not even care, but he was afraid of Yukaluo. He did not know what had happened between them, but he was afraid of her to the bone. Once she spoke, Yudu immediately ordered people to let him go. He still remembered that when he came down, he was already very weak. In a daze, he saw her walking over, squatting beside him, and giving him a pill, saying, Go back and have a good rest. You'll be fine soon. He still remembered that her voice was so gentle, and it made his cold heart feel warm. If she did not comfort him at that time, he reckoned that he would not be able to hold on at that time. He could not hear clearly what she ordered Yudu after that, but it should be related to him, because from then on, Yudu did not torture him as much. In the days after that, he followed Yudu around the palace. He saw her from afar a few times, but they did not interact with each other. He thought that she had already forgotten about him, because the way she looked at him from behind was so unfamiliar. But thinking about it, she was so dazzling and he was so ordinary. How could she remember him? But no matter whether she remembered him or not, it would not affect his heart and feelings for her. Even though those feelings were so humble, Sima Yue heard him reminiscing as he spoke, and she more or less understood his feelings. She did not expect her mother to be so charming. She wondered how her father managed to win her mother's heart back then. She then asked him to tell her many things about her mother, about how she was extremely talented, how she was very powerful, and how she dared to kill the spiritual beasts at the river Styx alone. Those things made Sima Yue feel that her mother was too awesome. If her mother was the Dark Princess, the king's youngest daughter, then she would be Diwu. He talked a lot about Yukaluo. The relationship between the two of them was slowly changing. At least, he did not hate her as much anymore. As the two of them chatted, the other party moved to the stone table in the courtyard, and there was a pot of tea on the table. All right, do you know someone from the Ghost Clan? Sima Yue asked. Who? Sima Yue did not know Deja's name and described his appearance. There's a very powerful person beside him, and that person has always been hiding in the cloak. Diwu could roughly guess who it was, and seeing her nod, he said, You should be talking about young Master Deja from the D family. Deja? Sima Yue frowned. They had different surnames. Could they be relatives? Speaking of which, young Master Deja and you are cousins. Diwu Yi answered the question she did not ask, and said, young Master Deja's mother is a princess from the royal family, and he calls your mother his aunt. I heard that young Master Deja is also a ruthless person, but he has a very good relationship with the Dark Princess, and he is closer to her than to his own mother. There are even rumors that he is plotting to find her mother. They were indeed relatives. He must have noticed that her aura was similar to Yu Kaluo's, and knew that she was his cousin, so his attitude changed completely. Where's my mother now? Sima Yue asked. Diwu Yi shook his head and said, I don't know about this. I only know that something big happened that year, and many people from the Ghost Clan went to the human realm to bring your mother back, but I don't know what happened after that. And since then, no one has seen your mother again. Mother's whereabouts are unknown, just like father. Is there any news about my mother? She curled her body into the chair and hugged her knees with both hands, feeling a little heartache. What exactly happened that year that caused her father and mother's whereabouts to be unknown? No, but young Master Deja might know something, because there are rumors that he obtained the 100 Ghost Banner and is preparing to use that to save your mother. Chapter 1153. Read 336. Sima Yue was completely stunned. Deja had done so much for his mother. Lin said that the 100 Ghost Banner had to be in his hands. Could it be that he also knew about this? Diwui looked at Sima Yue and was confused. He asked, have you met young Master Deja before? Yes. Sima Yue nodded. Not only had she met him, but she had also experienced many things. Did something bad happen? Diwui asked. Sigh. Sima Yue sighed. It's not just bad. We even fought each other. How is this possible? Diwu Yi shouted in shock. If you're the daughter of the Dark Princess, he wouldn't kill you. Even I can sense your aura, so there's no way the Ghost Master would know. At that time, my ghost bloodline had not been fully activated and was sealed. Sima Yue said, I was almost killed by that Ghost Master. But because of this, his bloodline was stimulated. So they recognized you this time? Yes. I was wondering why their attitudes changed so drastically when we met in the Immortal Land. Sima Yue said, I once heard from you that Deja was not valued at home and was even bullied. It was your mother who changed his fate. So no matter what he has become, he still treats your mother the same as before. Diwu Yi said. Sigh. Sima Yue hesitated. What happened? Sima Yue glanced at Diwu Yi. Since she did not plan to let him out, she might as well share her troubles with him. Do you know human diviners? She asked. I know, there are some in the ghost realm too. It's just that your human realm usually only talks about your human race's matters. Our ghost race only talks about our ghost race's matters. Diwu Yi said. If the human race can predict the affairs of the ghost race, can the ghost race predict the affairs of the human race? Sima Yue asked. I can predict it, but I can't say it, and I won't say it, unless this matter is related to humans and spirits. Diwu Yi said, Why? Did you meet a divinator? Yes. When I came in, Lin told me to get the 100 Ghost Banner. Lin, does your human race have the sect master of divinator now? Diwu Yi asked. You know him too? Not really, but because he is very famous, even in the world of spirits and souls, we have heard of his name. It is said that he is the most powerful divinator in your human race for tens of thousands of years. Diwu Yi said, If he told you that, there must be a reason behind it. I think so too. Sima Yue said, I didn't know why before, but now I know. Then what are you struggling with? If what you said is right, he is planning to use this to save my mother. Sima Yue said, If I snatch this away, then he can't use this to save my mother. But if it was Lin who said it, then it should be reasonable. Whatever he said would come true, or else his reputation wouldn't spread to the world of spirits and souls. Diwu Yi said. But I don't know when I can go to the world of spirits and souls. If the 100 Ghost Banner is in my hands, my mother will have to suffer for one more day if I don't go to the world of spirits and souls. Sima Yue didn't want to snatch the 100 Ghost Banner anymore. But what if the 100 Ghosts banner isn't the most important thing to save your mother? Or, even if young Master Deja has this, he won't be able to save your mother. Instead, he will lose his life for nothing? Diwu said, "It's better to believe in the divinator's words than not. I know, but I'll go out and ask Lin, see if I can find out my mother's whereabouts." Sima Yue said, Diwu was right. Since Lin asked her to do so, there should be a reason behind it. Since that was the case, he would ask Deja what exactly was going on when he found him. Although you have that powerful flame, but you're in a more dangerous situation now. If you have the 100 Ghost banner, it will be better. Diwu said. Sima Yue looked at him in confusion. Don't tell me you think that after you kill Yu, this matter will be over? Diwu was choked by her ignorant expression. What? I said before, Yudu's mother's family is very powerful. Half of the reason why the Ghost King dotes on her is because of this. Diwu said, and Anaheim and the Ghost King doted on Yudu. Now that she is dead, they will definitely ask the Ghost Clan to kill you. She will use a secret method to obtain your information and pass it to the Ghost Clan. So you should be a popular person in the Ghost Clan now. Diwu saw that her expression did not change and said, Aren't you worried? Isn't it useless to worry? Sima Yue put down her legs, picked up the teacup on the table, and took a sip. At least now, those powerful people from the Ghost Clan can't come. Those small soldiers, I don't have to worry. What courage! Just like her in the past. You said before that my mother is the Ghost King's favorite daughter, and also said that Yudu is very doted on. Then in comparison, who does the Ghost King like more? Of course it's the Dark Princess. Diwu said, but now the Dark Princess is not here, and Anaheim is so powerful, so your situation is still very dangerous. And what? After that incident, the Ghost King did not allow anyone to mention the Dark Princess. If it was in the past, he might protect you after knowing your identity, but now it might make things worse. Diwu said, I'll kill whoever comes. I'll kill whoever comes. My Yue can do whatever she wants. A domineering voice was heard. Sima Yue's eyes were filled with surprise. She turned around and saw that Wu Lingyu had woken up. She immediately jumped up from the chair and threw herself into Wu Lingyu's arms, saying, You're finally awake. If you didn't wake up, I would have been scared to death. I'm so happy to see you so excited. Wu Lingyu hugged Sima Yue. His lips curled into a charming smile. Are you completely recovered now? Let me check for you. Sima Yue said as she wanted to take his pulse. Wu Lingyu grabbed her hand lightly, not allowing her to take his pulse. It's still considered a reunion. Don't do those disappointing things. Is your body still not fully recovered? Sima Yue asked worriedly. I won't hide it from you. That's not a small injury. I'll take my time to recuperate, but it's not a problem for now. Wu Lingyu said. If he kept saying that he was fine, she might be very worried, but now that he said it, she felt much more relieved. Wu Lingyu led her to the table and sat down. He sat beside her and asked, What were you talking about just now? How did you offend the Ghost Clan? Chapter 1154. Red 336. I killed one of my uncles. Sima Yue said with a smile. People from the Ghost Clan? Wu Lingyu asked. Yes. Sima Yue smiled. The royal family of the Ghost Clan. I heard that her family is very powerful and wants to take revenge on me. He wants to mobilize the entire Ghost Realm. Oh. Wu Lingyu raised her eyebrows. When I wasn't around, you were quite crazy. He wants to eat my soul, so he asked his subordinates to kill me and collect my soul. Sima Yue said, Daring to eat his Yu? So be it. Even if the Ghost King comes and wants to kill you, you should kill him. If anything happens, I'll take care of it for you, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue smiled widely. She knew that he would stand behind her no matter what she did. Diwu looked at Wu Lingyu in astonishment. Although he knew about their relationship, he did not expect him to pamper her so much. If it was him, would he be able to do it? The first thing she should be thinking about was what kind of trouble she would bring her. And then, are you starting to think about how you're going to distance yourself from this? This should be something that most people would do. By the way, I have something to tell you. Sima Yue said, Well, You won't be able to go out for a while, and you can't commit suicide here, so you can stay here temporarily. If I have any questions in the future, I can ask you. Diwui looked at her, and she dismissed him just like that, even though he was treated the best among the captives. However, he didn't dare to commit suicide in the past, and he didn't want to do so now. Since she was his daughter, shouldn't he have some expectations in his heart? Little Spirit left with Diwui, leaving the two of them alone. Wu Lingyu grabbed her hand and pulled forcefully, bringing her into his embrace. Come, tell me, what happened to you while I was unconscious? Sima Yue sat on his lap and found a comfortable position. Wu Lingyu also took the opportunity to rest his head on her shoulder. She let herself lean into his embrace and said, "A lot of things really happened when you weren't around." She told him everything that had happened after Wu Lingyu fell into a coma, including how she had comprehended her domain and her own Tao, how she had saved Shimen Feng and the others, as well as the Rubik's Cube sky and so on. Wu Lingyu didn't expect her to experience so much while she was asleep. She actually comprehended the domain and the heavenly Tao. His talent was unparalleled. He turned his face to the side and asked her, "You're amazing. You're indeed my woman. Tell me, how did you form your domain?" Sima Yue then told him about how she had stared at the folds of the Tree of Life and how she had comprehended it. After listening to her, even though he was experienced and knowledgeable as a demon king, he was also speechless. Sima Yue didn't hear him and turned her head to ask, "What's wrong?" Wu Lingyu tapped her nose and said, "Nothing. I'm just surprised." "What are you surprised about?" Sima Yue asked as she slapped his hand away. "Do you know that there are differences between domains?" Wu Lingyu grabbed her hand and didn't let her pull it away. "Although I don't know, I guessed it." Sima Yue said, "Why is mine special?" "Qing, he didn't say anything. He's not human. Although he knows about domains, he doesn't necessarily understand it clearly." Wu Lingyu said, "Only those who have truly comprehended domains will understand the profoundness of it." "Then what's so special about my domain?" Sima Yue asked. "Domains are usually divided into living and non-living ones. The difference is very simple. Living ones are like yours. There are flowers, grass, mountains, water, and even some animals. If there was no life, then it was just a piece of space, an invisible space. Most of the domains are alive. Since most of them are alive, what's so special about mine?" Sima Yue asked. "Don't be anxious. Let me explain it to you slowly." Wu Lingyu said, "Although many people have living domains, they are also divided into different levels." "How are you divided into different levels?" "According to size?" "Size is indeed an important part of the division of domains, but it's not the most important basis for division." Wu Lingyu said. "Then what's the most important basis for division?" "The stability and control of the domain." Wu Lingyu said, "When supreme rankers fight, most of the time it's a clash of domains. The more stable the domain, the more likely it is to win in a clash." Sima Yue nodded. She understood. "What about control?" "Control is how much you can weaken your opponent in a domain. Just like the space controlled by an array master. In this space, you are the master. The stronger the control, the weaker the opponent is." Wu Lingyu said, "I understand." Sima Yue said, "Then what's my uniqueness?" "First of all, your stability is very good." Wu Lingyu said, "As the saying goes, after breaking, you can build. When you were building it, your domain almost collapsed. If it was someone else, it would have failed immediately. But not only did it not fail, it made the domain even more stable. This might be because I was in Qing Yi's body at that time, so it helped me to rebuild it." Sima Yue said, "That should be part of the reason." Wu Lingyu said, "But I think that's not the main reason. Say it all at once. Don't breathe too loudly." Sima Yue turned around and pinched his ears with both hands, pinching and squeezing. "You're the one who always interrupts me." Wu Lingyu defended his position. "That's also because you always don't say it clearly at once." Sima Yue said, All right, it's all my fault." Wu Lingyu saw her glaring at him and immediately expressed his stance. It didn't matter if she was the one who kept asking him. Since he didn't say it clearly, it was his fault. Sima Yue saw that he took the initiative to admit his fault and smiled. She thought of a joke from her previous life. A wife sets rules for her husband. The rules are simple and clear. There are only two rules. The first rule is that the wife is always right. The second rule is that if there is a mistake, please refer to the first rule. The way they looked now was quite similar. Thinking of this, she pursed her lips and smiled. She held his face with both hands and said, "All right, hurry up and tell me. What's the main reason?" "The main reason I want to tell you is also the reason why you're different from others." When Wu Lingyu said this, the way he looked at Sima Yue changed. Seeing him like this, Sima Yue stopped teasing him and waited for him to explain. "Your domain was comprehended when you were comprehending Tao. So what? Try breathing again?" Sima Yue waved her fist. Chapter 1155. Seeing that she was really anxious, Wu Lingyu stopped teasing her and said, "Have you really never thought about what's different about yours? I only know that territories can only be obtained by those above the honorable rank. Because it's too far away, I've never tried to understand it." Sima Yue said, "Just as I said, there are many levels of domains. You comprehended the domain when you comprehended the Tao." Wu Lingyu said, "So, the Tao is the most important, and the domain is secondary. However, because they comprehended it together, they fused together. In that case, your domain will become a domain with the heavenly Tao." "They're the heavenly Tao's domain?" Sima Yue raised her eyebrows, as if it sounded very powerful. From the looks of it, Wu Lingyu should also be quite powerful. "Do you know that other people's domains don't have the heavenly Tao? Even my former domain doesn't have it," Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue's eyes lit up when she heard the last sentence. "Really?" "Yes." Wu Lingyu nodded. He didn't quite understand why she was so happy. He might have thought that it was because no one else had the way of the heavens. But what she was thinking was that she was finally better than him in one aspect. What's the use of that domain with the heavenly Tao? If you don't die and keep expanding your domain might become a world in the future. Wu Lingyu said, "But I'm not sure about its specific uses. After all, no one has really encountered it. However, there are rumors that our current world was formed by the domain of immortals. Although we can't verify it, we can still listen. If I can really form a world in the future, then I can be considered as the creator of the world," Sima Yue said with a smile. "If you really become the creator of the world, I think the people in your world will be very wretched," Wu Lingyu said with a straight face. "Why?" "Because your smile right now is very wretched. See how I'll deal with you." Sima Yue grabbed him by the neck and screamed. "If you say I'm wretched, then I'll make you wretched first." Wu Lingyu was pressed down by her. With a wave of his hand, a couch appeared behind him and caught him. "Yu, are you that anxious to pounce on me? If you want, I'm very willing. You don't have to be in such a hurry," Wu Lingyu teased with a smile. Sima Yue was speechless. This guy was really wretched. She let go of his neck and tried to get up, but he grabbed her hand and hugged her waist. Then, he flipped her over and pressed her under his body. "Since you're so impatient, I don't mind being taken advantage of by you," Wu Lingyu said with an evil smile. "Or rather, you don't want to take advantage of me, but you want to eat me? Hooligan, if you want to touch me, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to be so secretive." Wu Lingyu grabbed her hand and placed it on his chest. This was no longer just a hooligan. She rolled her eyes. Her right hand was grabbed by him, while her other hand hugged his neck. With a bit of strength, the two of them immediately flipped over. She was once again pressing him under her body. "Since you want to be pressed down by me so much and want to be eaten by me, then come at me. But it can only be like this. I'll be on top and you'll be below." She stretched out her hand and caressed his face, teasing him. Wu Lingyu saw her sudden change and let go of her hand. Lying on the bed, he looked like he was at her mercy. He closed his eyes and said, "Come." Little Roar, who was playing in the distance, saw this scene and used his short legs to cover his eyes. He roared, "See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything." The other spirit beasts heard his roar and looked over. Seeing them lying on the couch, one on top and one below, they were all stunned. "Cough, cough, if you want to do that, we can pretend that we didn't see anything." You can continue. You can continue. Yiguang also learned from Little Roar and covered his eyes. But the gap between his fingers was so big that his eyeballs could be seen. I really didn't expect that Yu actually likes to be on top. Thousand Resonance shook his head and sighed. What's so strange about that? We're so powerful and strong. It's normal to want to be on top. No one said that it has to be a guy on top. Little Seven said with a smile. That's true. But for them to be frozen like this, do they plan to continue or not? I don't know. Could it be that they're embarrassed seeing us here? That's possible. Didn't you say that you wanted to leave? Why are you still here? Of course you would be embarrassed if you're here. Little Roar said shamelessly, as if he was not a third wheel here. Once these words were said, it immediately attracted the attention of the spirit beasts. Little Roar was the most shameless. Sima Yue got up from Wu Lingyu's body. She was originally just joking, but with these fellows messing around, she did not even have the mood to tease him anymore. Seeing that Wu Lingyu was still lying on the bed, she glanced at him and said, "How long do you plan to lie here for?" "Until you agree." Wu Lingyu winked at her. "Then you can continue lying down." After she finished speaking, she walked around him and left. But when she passed by the beauty couch, with a thought, the beauty couch turned into a pile of ashes. However, Wu Lingyu did not fall to the ground. Another beauty couch appeared in an instant and caught him. Not only did he not fall to the ground, even the ashes did not touch his clothes. Oomph. Sima Yue glared at him and really left. Wu Lingyu laid on the beauty couch and looked in the direction of the tree of life, deep in thought. Sima Yue went to the pill refining room and refined some pills before returning to Wu Lingyu's side. "You're back so quickly?" Wu Lingyu supported his head with one hand and patted the spot beside him with the other, indicating for Sima Yue to sit down. Sima Yue sat down and placed the pills in front of him. "One pill a day. You have to eat it on time. Before your strength recovers, you have to stay here," Sima Yue said. Wu Lingyu smiled. When they were messing around, he knew that she took the chance to check his pulse, but he did not know that she found out so quickly. As long as he was in deep sleep, he would become very weak. He would not be able to use the spiritual energy in his body, and his strength would be greatly reduced. He kept the pills and said, "But I want to go out and accompany you." "No," Sima Yue directly rejected. "I said, before my strength recovers, I have to stay here. Can you make an exception?" He held her waist with one hand. Sima Yue turned around and tapped his forehead, saying, "Be good. I'm going out now. You stay here and recuperate. If you want to go out and accompany me, then quickly recover your strength." After saying this, she really stood up and left, leaving him alone to stare at the jade bottle in a daze. Chapter 1156. Read 336. Sima Yue brought Little Seven and the rest out. She really didn't bring Wu Lingyu along. Diwu gave her something to track the Ghost Clan. Although she could not confirm Deja's location, she could confirm their direction. At least she would know how to find him. However, while she was looking for Deja, others were also looking for her. It had been less than 10 days since she killed Yudu, and she had already met 2 waves of people who wanted to kill her. On this day, they were hurrying on their journey. When they arrived at a mountain range, the sky suddenly changed. A mass of black clouds pressed down on them. Then, a black fog rose up around them and enveloped them. Again, Seven pulled a long face and was really unhappy. This was because Hua Hua and Little Dream were clearly more proficient than her in dealing with the Ghost Clan. This made her feel somewhat defeated. Looks like Diwu was right. The Ghost Clan is going to hunt us down to the end. Sima Yue led everyone to the top of the mountain. Looking at the ghost fog, she did not sound afraid or worried at all. "We'll kill as many as they come. Anyways, little birdie just needs to fly around." Little Seven said, "Little birdie, I'll have to trouble you." Sima Yue called out Little birdie. Little birdie loved to burn these dark things and was extremely excited when it saw them. It spread its wings and started burning the black fog. Pitiful cries sounded out one after another, and the black fog quickly retracted, turning back into ghost race people. However, Most of them had broken limbs. I didn't expect it to be a humanized black fog. The cultivation method of the Ghost Clan is really amazing. Sima Yue said, "What's so strange about that? If you cultivate the Ghost Clan's cultivation method, you could do it too." Little Dream said, "You even know about this? Once our memories are restored, our inheritance will also be restored." Little Dream said, "In any case, we are still mixed in with the ghost and demon realms. Is that so? I'll give it a try next time." Sima Yue said with interest, "You can't touch the darkness attribute part of you right now. Otherwise, if it accidentally explodes, where are we going to find you? I reckon that even your soul will be blown up. I won't even be able to find you in the ghost realm." Sima Yue looked at Little Dream and felt that she had been led astray by Little Roar in the past. However, ever since she regained her memories, she had become a little sharp-tongued. She decided to ignore Little Meng. She watched as Little Birdie burned all the ghosts to death without a single ripple in her eyes. Since these people were here to kill her, they had to be prepared to be killed. The dark clouds in the sky were also formed by the ghost race. When the little sparrows flew into the sky, before they could even touch them, they automatically scattered and turned into ghost race to escape. This person was too powerful. They were no match for her. Sima Yue did not chase after them. She allowed them to spread the news. It was good that they could intimidate some people. Otherwise, she would be annoyed to death if she had to deal with these ghosts every few days. This is already the third wave. If this continues, we will be annoyed to death. Little Seven said, "It is indeed a little troublesome." Sima Yue said, "Then let's think of a way." Let's think of a way." Little Dream and the rest agreed. However, they quickly regretted this suggestion because Sima Yue's idea was to change her appearance. She said that to prevent herself from being exposed, Little Blossom, Little Dream, Little Seven, and the rest could not come out. They could only stay in the Spirit Pagoda. Even the Chongming was changed into a four-winged rock. If she were to go out now, no one would be able to recognize her. Those ghost race only knew her appearance. Now that she was gone, they would not be able to find her. She did not know if Deja and the rest were in a hurry. She chased for a long time, but did not manage to catch up. It was as if they kept walking forward and had no intention of stopping to look for treasures. What were they looking for? She chased after them for a few months. Just as she was about to catch up, their aura suddenly disappeared. Sima Yue looked at the unresponsive underworld weapon and did not know how to react. Just now, the underworld weapon's reaction was very strong. This meant that they were very close. How could they suddenly disappear? She circled around the vicinity and searched the area within a radius of 10,000 kilometers. She did not find any aura of ghost race, nor did she find anything unusual. Suddenly, she felt a fluctuation in the space. She looked up and saw a group of people falling out. It hurts. You're on top of me. Get off quickly. You're sitting on my face. Move your butt away." Sima Yue stood alone in the distance. When she saw this scene, she was surprised, especially when she saw who those people were. Sima Yi climbed up from the ground and said, "How are you guys? Is everyone still here? Other than Chi and Yun, everyone else is here." Someone replied, "I didn't expect this to happen. We have to inform the elders quickly." The elders just left for a while, and that person took Chi and Yun away. If we didn't use the array to escape quickly, I'm afraid we would have been killed. Even if the elders and uncles are here, they won't be able to defeat that person. That person killed so many girls. I'm afraid Chi and Yun are doomed. No matter what, let's contact Uncle Lu Feng and the others first. Sima Xin Shu said. Sima Yue didn't want to acknowledge them at first. But when she heard what they said, her feet were rooted to the ground. Sima Chi and Sima Yun were captured. Who captured them? This lady. Why are you here alone? Sima Yifei looked at Sima Yue and said, "Don't you know that the girls in this area are in danger recently? Why are you still lingering here? Leave this place quickly." Sima Yue saw Sima Yifei's anxious look. It seemed like the situation was serious. After all, they were surnamed Sima. Thinking of Sima Lu Feng and Sima Lu Yun's instructions, she couldn't bear to ignore this matter. She walked over and said, What happened here? You don't know? Sima Yifei looked at her in astonishment. Recently, a monarch-ranked expert appeared in this area. He captured girls everywhere. Those girls that he captured were all disheveled corpses when they were found. Why are you here alone? You should leave this place quickly. A monarch ranked asterisk. Sima Yue exclaimed softly. If that was the case, then wouldn't Sima Yun and Sima Chi, who were captured, be in danger? Yes, so you should leave quickly. I heard you say that 2 of your ladies were captured. Sima Yue asked. Yes, we have to save them quickly. Otherwise, it will be dangerous. See you. Is there anything I can help you with? Sima Yue said as she winked at Sima Yifei and Sima Xin Shu, who just walked over. Chapter 11:57. Read 336. Sima Yifei and Sima Xin Shu widened their eyes and looked at Sima Yue in shock. But the Sima family members behind them couldn't see their expressions. See, you? Sima Yun stuttered in shock. I still had some hope that you would recognize me. But it seems like you really don't remember. We met in Cloud Sea City. I told you that I'm called Siyu. Sima Yue said. Oh, so it's you. We remember now. Sima Xin Shu said. Miss Siyu, you also came to the Immortal Land. Yeah. Sima Yue was satisfied with Sima Xinshu's reaction. She smiled and said, when we were in Cloud Sea City, Ian, Chi, and I got along quite well. Did you just say that they were taken away? Speaking of that venerable rank expert, the 2 of them were shocked and their hearts returned to their original place. They were still worried about them. Yes, if we didn't escape fast enough, I'm afraid the other girls in the clan would have been caught too. Sima Xin Shu said, we need to quickly contact Uncle Lu Feng and the rest, otherwise. Yifei, Xinshu, why aren't you looking for people to save Chi and the others? What are you talking about here? A woman with freckles on her face roared at the 2. Sima Yue took another look at the woman. Most people in this world had very good skin due to their cultivation. It was rare to see someone like her. The freckled woman seemed to know what Sima Yue was thinking. She glared at her and roared. What are you looking at? If you keep looking, I'll dig your eyes out. Sima Yue really wanted to say, if you have the ability, come and poach her, but before she could open her mouth, Sima Xinshu said, this is the first daughter of the clan, Sima Fei. What he meant was that she had a very high status in the family, so he shouldn't go against her directly. Sima Yue glanced at them. Both of them were worried that she would quarrel with Sima Fei. She shrugged her shoulders and said, don't worry, I won't bite back a dog that bit me. Sima Fei just happened to turn around and talk to someone else, so she didn't notice what she said. Otherwise, the 2 of them would definitely fight today. At this time, 2 men walked over. One was tall and thin, and the other was short and fat. They looked like the classic fat and thin monks on TV. The tall and thin man came in front of her and asked, Yifei Xinshu, what are you talking about? Who is this lady? Although the 2 of them were talking to Sima Yifei and the rest, but their eyes were wandering around Sima Yue. That lecherous gaze made her very uncomfortable. This is our friend. Both of you go away. Don't even think about hitting on her. Sima Xin Shu said with a solemn face. How could such a beautiful lady know them, but not us? Hello, miss. I'm the young master of the Sima family, Sima Gao Qi. Now that this place is so dangerous, you should not walk alone. Come with us. Let us protect you. Sima Gao Qi said. That's right. How dangerous is it for you to be alone? Let us protect you. The short and fat Sima Gao Qi said. Sima Yue glanced at them indifferently and said, can you guys protect me? Of course. Sima Gao Qi patted his chest and said, really? Absolutely. Then why didn't you guys protect Chi and Ian? You guys are so powerful here. How did they get captured? Sima Yue asked. Sima Gao Qi and the rest didn't expect Sima Yue to be so direct and were stunned. They're after all Paragon-ranked experts. Of course we can't win against them. Sima Gao Qi said, you guys can't even protect your own clansmen. How can I believe that you guys can protect me? Sima Yue asked with a smile. The 2 of them were at a loss for words. In the end, Sima Gao Si reacted quickly and said, although that's the case, but with more people, it's always safer. Sima Yue nodded and said, that's true. So Miss is willing to follow us? Sima Gao Chi asked. Not willing to follow you guys, but to follow them. Sima Yue ignored them and turned to Sima Yifei and said, Yifei, tell me about that Paragon-ranked expert. I don't know which force that Paragon-ranked expert is from. I don't think I've seen him before. Sima Yifei said, he's been capturing girls everywhere recently. Uncle Lu Feng and the rest said that he should be practicing some cultivation method and treated girls as cauldrons. That's why those girls looked like that. What's so special about that person? What does he look like? Sima Yue asked. There's a scar on the left side of his face, from the corner of his eye to the corner of his mouth. Sima Yifei gestured on his face, and that person's hair is messy, his beard is unshaven, his figure is short, and his clothes are dirty, like a beggar. Sima Yue could imagine how that person looked like. Thinking of those girls being defiled by a beggar, she could totally understand their feelings. Has that person always been here? Sima Yue said, ever since we came in. No, I heard that he only appeared in the recent 3 to 5 months. Sima Yifei said, I thought that he came from other places, but the people from other places said that they didn't discover such a thing. But the people who came from the area where the Tree of Life appeared said that they had seen such a person there before. He was alone, but because they couldn't see his strength, they couldn't confirm that it was him. Sima Xian Shu added, he came from that area? Sima Yue was stunned. The first thing she thought of was that Paragon who annihilated a group of people in one move. But if it was that person, why did he come here to capture those girls? Lu Feng, where are they? Sima Yue saw that Sima Gao Qi and the rest were here, so she kept the word uncle. When we came to this area, they said that there was something here, then they left, leaving behind an elder with us. But that elder was killed just now, which bought us some time to escape. Sima Xian Shu said, they knew that this area is so dangerous, but they still left you behind? They said that place is more dangerous. If we go, we will only drag them down. Sima Xian Shu said, and they asked us to leave because they were curious about what kind of place it was, so they didn't leave. They didn't expect to encounter such a thing. At this moment, Sima Fei shouted, can't contact them? What do you mean can't contact them? Did you contact Uncle and the rest? Miss, we've already contacted all the uncles, but none of them responded. A man holding a mother-son stone said, Miss, what should we do if we can't contact them? What else can we do? Don't tell me we have to go back and die. Of course we have to listen to Uncle and leave this area. Sima Fei shouted. Sima Gao Qi and Sima Gao Si looked at both sides. Seeing that Sima Yue really didn't want to leave and Sima Fei was already activating the transmission array, they had no choice but to fly towards the transmission array. They didn't want to die. Compared to chasing girls, their lives were more important. After the Sima family left, Sima Yifei turned around and shot out spirit power in the direction they left. Although he couldn't hit them, at least he vented some of the anger in his heart. Sima Yue saw that he was so worried and said, it's no use getting angry here. Let's think of a way to save them. It's all my fault. If they said they wanted to go to the side, I should have followed them. Sima Yifei said regretfully, don't blame yourself. They want to go to the side. As a man, how can you follow them? Sima Xian Shu said, Yu is right. It's no use getting angry like this. What we have to do now is to think of a way to save them. Sima Yifei closed his eyes and said, but we don't even know where they are now. Where are we going to find them? Even if we find them, what do we do to save them? That's a Paragon rank expert. If we go in front of him, he can kill us with a sneeze. Sima Xian Shu was silent as well, although both of them had stayed behind, but they did not have the confidence to rescue them. Sima Yue saw that they were worried but couldn't do anything. She could understand their feelings. Inzun was very strong. This was something everyone knew. Who could match a Paragon rank expert? For forces like them, he could crush them with his little finger. But Sima Chi-Chi and Sima Yi-Yin were caught. She couldn't just watch. At the very least, they were still relatively friendly to her after knowing her identity. Do you have anything with their aura? Sima Yue asked. What? Both of them were thinking about how to find them. When they heard her question, they couldn't react. I said, do you have anything with their aura? If it's good, it's best if it is blood. Sima Yue said. Something with their aura? I don't have it. Sima Xianshu raised his eyebrows and asked Sima Yi-Fei, do you have it? Sima Yi-Fei thought for a moment and said, I happen to have her bloody cloth. He took out a piece of cloth embroidered with an exquisite pattern and handed it to Sima Yue, saying, this is what my mother left for us. Last time, she had a lot of blood on her hand. I was anxious, so I used this to wipe her blood. Because the meaning is different, I didn't throw it away. What's the use of this? Position. Sima Yue took out a scroll and melted the dried blood on the embroidered cloth. Then she dripped it on the scroll. The blood dripped and was absorbed by the scroll. Then it slowly gathered into a red dot and appeared in their northeast direction. Iyun and the others are here. Sima Yue pointed at the red dot and said, let's go over now. Sima Yi-Fei said and was about to fly over. Wait a minute, Sima Yue said. If you go now, you'll only be sending yourself to death. But they can't wait. Sima Yi-Fei growled. The more they delayed, the higher the possibility of them being defiled. Previously, he didn't know where they were. Now that he knew, how could he remain calm? Then we have to think of a complete plan, Sima Yue said. Do you have any way to defeat that person? Sima Xianshu asked. That person is a Paragon-ranked expert. How can I defeat him? Sima Yue said, but we can only ask for help now. It's impossible for us to go with just a few of us. Chapter 1159. Who did you ask for help? Sima Yi-Fei and Sima Xianshu looked at her with hope rising in their eyes. I'll bring you to a place. You'll keep it a secret from me, right? Sima Yue looked at the two of them, unsure if she should trust them. If I don't have your permission and tell your secret, then let me go to hell. Sima Yi-Fei said. Me too. Two laws fell into their bodies, forming an oath. Sima Yue nodded and took out a small door. She opened the little realm and brought them in. Your little world is so powerful. Others can't open it here. I didn't expect you to be able to open it. As expected of members of large clans, the two of them had seen many small realms, so they immediately recognized the difference in the Black Lotus small realm. This used to be an emperor's little realm. He seemed to have done something to it. The space is different, so it can be opened from here, Sima Yue explained. She brought them to the lakeside. The first one to come up was not Wu La Li and Shui Qing Man, but Little 11. Little 11 flew out of the water and pounced into Sima Yue's arms. He rubbed against her, as if he was wondering why she took so long to come in. Sima Yue hugged Little 11 and said, I missed you too. The golden color is increasing, and the bloodline is still evolving? Indeed. Wu La Li held Shui Qing Man's hand as they came out of the water. Seeing how Little 11 kissed her, he was extremely envious. This little guy, just because he threw it away once, now no matter what, it wouldn't get close to him. Godfather and Godmother. Sima Yue smiled at the two of them. Little 11 has been evolving? Yes, although the speed is slower, but it is indeed evolving. Shui Qing Man said. Sima Yue patted Little 11 and said, Little 11, you can do it. Little 11 rubbed against it and then spun around a few times. Yue, why are you here? Shui Qing Man asked. I've encountered a problem, and I'm here to ask for your help. Sima Yue stopped smiling and said seriously, Oh, our omnipotent child also has a time when he needs my help? What is it? Tell me. Wu Lamai said. Sima Yue looked at Sima Yi-Fei and Wu La Li on the shore and flew over with Shui Qing Man and Wu La Li. When Sima Yi-Fei and Sima Xianshu were in Cloud Sea City, they had seen Shui Qing Man and her together with Sima Yue at the entrance. They didn't expect them to be here. This is my adoptive father and mother, the king and queen of the Violet Water Dragon clan. These are my two cousins, Sima Xianshu and Sima Yi-Fei. Sima Yue introduced both parties. Greetings to Dragon King, Queen. Sima Xanshu and Sima Yifei were surprised at their identities and bowed. Wu Lamai nodded faintly and asked, "Are they the ones who need my help?" Her attitude and tone were completely different from Sima Yue's. "Not really," Sima Yue said. "My two cousins were captured by a asterisk. We wanted to save them, but that asterisk is a monarch. You want me to deal with that person?" Wulali asked. Sima Yue nodded and asked, "Is adoptive father willing to help me?" Wulali was silent for a moment, as if he was thinking. Just when Sima Xanshu and the rest thought that he wouldn't agree, he suddenly laughed and said, "This is the first time our Yue asked me for help. How can I not agree?" Both of them were overjoyed and bowed deeply to Wu Lamai. "Thank you, Dragon King, for helping us. You don't have to thank me. If it wasn't for Yue, I wouldn't bother about you humans." Wu Lamai said, "But we still have to thank you." Sima Xianshu said. He was willing to help. That was a sign of his affection. "Yue, tell me the details of the situation." Wu Lamai said. Sima Yue let Sima Xianshu explain the situation and said, "The problem now is to know the strength of that white supremacy. Do you know? The difference is too big, and he didn't use his full strength at that time. He was busy escaping, so he didn't notice." Sima Xianshu said, "Don't you know where they are? Let's go and take a look. Let me see him, and I'll be able to see his strength." Wu Lali said. "Okay." They came outside, and Sima Yue took out the scroll and showed it to him, pointing out the location of Sima Yiyun and the rest. "The distance isn't too far. I'll bring you there first." Wu Lali opened a space tunnel and brought them in. They didn't go directly to Y Supremacy's lair, but came out nearby and slowly sneaked over. They didn't know how Sima Yiyun and Sima Chi were, but they were sure that they were still alive because the red dot was still there. "That person is in that mountain D." Wu Lamai could feel Y Supremacy's aura. "How are Yiyun and Chi? Sima Yifei asked. "There are more than 10 girls inside." "Who are you talking about?" Wu Lali asked. "More than 10 girls? Seems like that person is hoarding girls for later use." Sima Yue guessed. "Godfather, can you feel his strength?" "I can feel that his aura is stronger than mine. As for how much stronger, I'll have to see him to be sure." Wu Lamai said, "If his rank is the same as mine, then I'll definitely be able to win against him. If he's one rank higher than me, then I should be able to win against him. Our Violet Water Dragon clan has the ability to fight against those of a higher rank. But if he's 2 ranks higher than me, then I can't do anything." They waited outside for a while, but Y Supremacy didn't come out. "We can't keep waiting like this. If he doesn't come out, then won't we have to keep waiting?" Sima Yifei said. The more they waited, the more danger those girls would be in. "Time waits for no one. We have to think of a way." Sima Yue said. "Why don't I lure him out?" Wu Lamai was an impatient person. He was getting impatient after waiting for so long. "No way." Sima Yue denied it without thinking. "We don't know his strength now. If he's as strong as Godfather, then it's about the same. What if he's stronger than you? Wouldn't that be dangerous? Then do we have to keep waiting like this? I'll think of a way to lure him out." Sima Yue said, "You guys wait here. What are you going to do?" Wu Lamai asked. "If you're discovered by him, then it'll be even more dangerous." "Godfather, don't worry. I have a way to come back safely." Sima Yue finished speaking and jumped out from her hiding place. She used the space to hide her aura and stopped a few hundred meters away from entrance D. A girl's scream and some girls' cries came from entrance D. There was also a guy's laughter. It seemed like he was defiling girls again. Chapter 1160. When Sima Yue heard the girl's screams, she heaved a sigh of relief when she realized that it wasn't Sima Chi and Sima Yiyun. She took out 2 thunderbolt bombs and thought to herself, "If I get scared when I'm in the mood, I wonder if I'll be unable to do it in the future." She injected spiritual energy into the thunderbolt bullet and threw it into the hole. The moment she threw it out, she teleported back to her hiding place twice. Then, he led everyone into the spirit pagoda. Sima, Xen Shu, and the rest had sworn an oath that they would not reveal her secret, so she was relieved to bring them in. When Zun put on his pants and came out, he didn't see anyone. When Sima, Fei, and the others saw her teleport back, they recalled that she had this ability. You really look like a beggar. Sima Yue looked out from the spirit pagoda and saw that the person was similar to what Sima Xinshu and the rest had said. Who is it? Who is it? It wasn't that he was frightened by the explosion, but that someone was able to get so close to him without him noticing. That person's strength was at least on par with his. But when he came outside, he didn't see anyone. He didn't even see anyone who could move. The spirit beasts here all fled after knowing that he was here. Who is it? He released his aura, but he still couldn't sense anyone's presence. No matter who you are, if I catch you, I will definitely kill you. Within the spirit pagoda, Sima Yue asked Wu Lamai, Father, can you tell how strong he is? Yes, Wu Lamai said. His strength is one level higher than mine, and he's about to enter the high paragon level. If that's the case, his strength isn't just one level higher than mine. If you fight him, are you confident in winning? Sima Yue didn't expect Zun to be so strong. Since he was such a strong person, why would he do such a thing? Less than a 50% chance, Wu Lamai said honestly. But if I go all out, it's not like I have no chance of winning. That's too risky, Sima Yue said. Less than a 50% chance. That was to say, the chances of him winning were low, and the chances of him being killed were high. He couldn't let him take such a risk. She thought for a moment and asked, what if it's in the domain? Domain? Wu Lamai started and then shook his head, saying, we spirit beasts are unable to comprehend a domain. I'm talking about my spirit realm. Sima Yue said, what if he's in my spirit realm and his strength is suppressed? As soon as she said that, the three men present were stunned. Domain? Are you saying that you've comprehended a domain? Wu Lamai was in the little realm and did not know what had happened to Sima Yue in the past 2 years. When he heard what she said, he almost bit his tongue off. Sima Fei and Sima Xian Shu were even more surprised. As a direct descendant of the Sima family with a monarch rank powerhouse, they naturally knew about domains. But wasn't this something that could only be comprehended by Paragon-level experts? Why did she have one too? Yue, when did you comprehend your domain? Less than a year. Because of some opportunities, I managed to comprehend it. Sima Yue said, Godfather, like what I said just now, if it's in my domain, how confident are you? At least 80%. Wu Lamai said, but it's not that easy. That's a monarch rank. If he also comprehended a domain, you definitely won't be able to win against him. What we want is not to kill him now. Sima Yue said, we need to cooperate with many parties to delay time so that Fei and the rest can rescue him. Of course, it's best if we can kill him. Then we need to discuss how to do it. Wu Lamai said, indeed, we need to plan it well. Sima Yue said. They discussed for half a day in the spirit pagoda and finally decided on the final plan. I'll go out in a while and set up an array from afar. I'll put some poison in the array. Even if it can't poison him, it'll be good if it can delay him for 1 or 2 seconds. Sima Yue said, Xi and Shu will be in charge of activating the array. I'll control the domain from the side. So, Fei, you'll have to save them alone, understand? Don't worry, I'll definitely save them. Sima Fei said, there's one thing that's still worrying. Sima Xian Shu said, Paragon-level experts are very sensitive to space. If he discovers that you're using your domain, I'm afraid he'll find out before you succeed. Once he finds out, you'll be in danger. I naturally have my ways. Sima Yue said, Godfather, I'll get the elders of Egret clan to cooperate with you. All right, then it's settled. I'll go out and find a place to set up the array. You and the elders can get used to it. Sima Yue finished speaking and went out alone. She came to a spacious place and took a deep breath before starting to set up the array. She set up a small-scale trapping array and set the activation array further away so that Sima Xian Shu would be able to activate the array from afar. After setting up the array, she added some poison before bringing the others out. Other than Sima Xian Shu and the others, there were also 4 elders of Egret clan. Although they weren't Paragon-level experts, They were half a step into it. We'll go find that later. Ife, when you see him come out, go in and save him. You have to be quick, because we don't know how long we can hold on. Sima Yue said, if he returns, you and the others will be in danger. I know, Sima Ife said. Godfather, after you lure him out, don't continue to fight. You have to come back quickly and lure him into the array. Sima Yue said to Wu Lamai. Don't worry. Wu Lamai nodded. Then you guys go. All right. Wu Lamai took the elders of Egret clan to the S cave and let Sima Ife hide at the side. Then he threw a thunderbolt bomb over. Sima Yue and Sima Xian Shu were waiting at the array. When they heard the explosion, they knew they were coming over soon. Xian Shu, when he flies to that position, you activate the array. Then get away from here. Sima Yue said. And I know. Sima Xian Shu's expression didn't change, but his body was trembling slightly. It was the first time for him to fight against a Paragon-level expert, especially when the other party was a devil. Maybe he would be killed in seconds. After a while, they saw Wu Lamai flying over, followed by Inzun. Chapter 1161. Read 336. On the other side of the cave, Inzun was interrupted by Sima Yue. He was full of anger. When he returned to the cave, he saw the women crying together. He was annoyed and shouted, "Don't cry." The dozen or so women became even more afraid after being yelled at by him. Some of them shut their mouths, but some of them cried even harder because of fear. Among them, the one who cried the loudest was the woman who had just been defiled. I said, "Don't cry." Inzun yelled at the woman with his own power. PFFF. The woman spat out a mouthful of blood, and blood began to flow out of her orifices. Her eyes widened, and she fell to the side in disbelief, losing her life. Whoever cries again will end up like her. Inzun threatened. The few women who had been crying were scared silly. They forgot to cry, or didn't dare to cry anymore. Oomph. That's more like it. Inzun touched the face of the nearest woman, then came to the innermost part of the cave and sat down to meditate. Although he was interrupted just now, he still obtained some power. He had to digest it. Sima Yun and Sima Chi huddled together, both of their faces full of tears. Yun, what should we do? Sima Chi glanced at the woman's corpse and leaned against Sima Yun in fright. Don't be afraid. We'll be fine. Sima Yun patted her hand and said something that even she didn't believe. Being caught by such a person, even if they contacted Uncle Lu Feng and the others, they might not be rescued. His strength was too strong, and the Sima family did not send any Paragon-level experts. Why would such an expert come here? If he wanted to find a woman, he should do it outside. After all, there were more women outside. Hey, and what do you think happened just now? Could it be that someone came to save us? Sima Chi asked. It shouldn't be, right? Sima Ian glanced outside. I think the possibility is very high. Otherwise, who would provoke such a person? Sima Chi said, even if they're not here to save us, they're here to save one of the people. It'll be good to save us while they're at it. When I think of what happened to those people, I feel a little. Sima Ian felt her body trembling and reached out to hug her, saying, don't be afraid. We'll face it together. Being controlled by him, I can't even commit suicide. This is the difference in strength. Sima Chi said, if they could, they would rather commit suicide before they were defiled than end up like that. Sima Ian really wanted to comfort her and say that there would be hope, but even her heart was filled with despair. After a day, Inzun woke up. The women in the cave were so scared that they began to tremble. Every time he woke up after absorbing a woman's essence, he would repeat the same thing. Everyone shrank back, afraid that they would be the ones in danger today. Inzun looked around and finally set his eyes on Sima Iyun. Sima Iyun's body stiffened when she felt his gaze. Was it his turn? Was there still no one to save them? You come here. Inzun beckoned to Sima Iyun. Sima Iyun closed her eyes and took a deep breath. It was indeed her. Let her pass. Was that even possible? She slowly stood up, and Sima Chi pulled her back. Ian, don't! Sima Chi shouted. Inzun's gaze swept over Sima Chi and said, I haven't tried being with two women yet. Since your relationship is so good, then let's be together. Sima Chi's body stiffened. Together? She wanted to say no, but Inzun thought they were too troublesome. With a wave of his hand, the two of them were brought over by a gust of wind. The moment Sima Yun approached, she suddenly released a burst of spirit power and hit Inzun's chest. Even if she couldn't hurt him, if she angered him and let him kill her, it was better than being defiled. Unfortunately, her power was too weak in front of him. That attack dissipated before it got close to him. Ugh! Her neck was grabbed by Inzun, and she gradually couldn't breathe. Ha! I like strong women like you. You taste good. Inzun said, If you have the ability, then kill me. Sima Yun said with difficulty, You want to provoke me and let me kill you? Inzun laughed. Little girl, your play is still too tender. Don't worry, I will let you die happily in a while. He threw Sima Chi aside and freed his hand to tear Sima Yun's clothes. Hiss! The sound of clothes tearing completely destroyed the last hope in Sima Yun's eyes. If there was an afterlife, she must become stronger and not let anyone bully her. Don't! Sima Chi screamed and wanted to rush over, but she was thrown to the stone wall by Inzun. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and her back was burning with pain. Don't! She watched as Sima Yun's clothes were torn, revealing her jade-like skin, but she couldn't do anything. Tears kept flowing down as she lay on the ground and cried. Little beauty, don't worry. This lord will make you happy in a while. Inzun smiled. To be honest, I'm a little reluctant to kill a beauty like you. If you are obedient, this lord will make an exception and spare your life and let you follow me. Sima Yun looked at him with a deathly stillness in her eyes. She slowly said, You'd better kill me, otherwise I will definitely kill you. Ha! Inzun laughed. The more you say this, the more reluctant this lord is to kill you. This exalted has decided to keep you alive. This exalted wants to see how you're going to kill me. I will. I definitely will. Sima Yun said word by word. This lord will wait. Now, little beauty, let me have a good time first. Perhaps he was attracted by her. He took out a bed for the first time, instead of doing it on the spot like before. He put Sima Yun on the bed. When he was about to take out his spear, the explosion sounded at the entrance of the cave again. He was so scared that his lower body tightened, and all his interest was withdrawn. If it happened a few more times, he didn't know if he would be scared to impotence. You are here again. This time, I must catch you. Little beauty, you wait. I will make you comfortable in a while. Inzun got up, put on his pants, and went out. Yun. Sima Chi got up from the ground and took out clothes to wrap Sima Yun. Don't be afraid. Someone is here to save us. Listen, there are sounds of fighting outside. Sima Yun's eyes turned, and finally there was a little light in her pupils. Will someone come to save us? Yes, they must be here to save us. Sima Chi hugged her and said, Ha! There really is a spirit barrier. It's time for this baby to show its power. Little Roar's voice suddenly came from the entrance of the cave, making everyone in the cave happy. Chapter 1162. Read 336. Sima Chi looked out of the cave. Did someone really come to save them? Things happened so suddenly that they even suspected that they were hallucinating. Little Roar, stop messing around. Quickly bring me in. Inzun will be back in a while. Outside the cave, Sima Yifei said anxiously. Look at how anxious you are. Isn't this Bao opening a barrier? This is a barrier set up by a Paragon rank expert. Even if it's me, this baby, I would still need some time. Little Roar said. It placed its claws on the spirit barrier, and a faint blue halo slowly spread out. When it was able to pass through people, Sima Yifei couldn't wait to drill in. The moment he entered, he saw Sima Yun, who was lying on the bed with a dress wrapped around her, and Sima Chi, who was kneeling at the side with tears all over her face. Yun, Chi, are you all right? Ife. Sima Chi cried even more when she saw her brother, but this time she was crying tears of joy. Sima Ife saw the tattered clothes on the floor and Sima Yun's coat, and said with heartache, Yun, you've already been. No. Inzun went out before he started, but it tore Yun's dress. Sima Chi said, I say, the guy inside, hurry up and come out. What are you dawdling in there for? Are you waiting for that big bad guy to come back? Little Roar shouted from outside. That's right, we'll talk about it later. Quickly follow me. Sima Ife continued. You guys follow me too. When he saw that Sima Yun didn't move, he took 2 steps forward and carried her in a princess carry and said to Sima Chi, let's go. The girls had already left. Only after the 3 of them had left did Little Roar release his claws. Come with me. Sima Ife gave a thought, and a temporary teleportation array appeared in his hands. He injected his spirit power and brought everyone in, leaving this place. In a valley far away from Sima Yue, Sima Ife led everyone out of the array. Haha, we're saved. Are we really out? I thought we... Those women were crying and rejoicing that they had been saved. Many thanks to young master for saving us. The girls said gratefully. Little Roar flew into the air and waved his little paws, saying, It's me. It's me who saved you. Those women knew that if it hadn't opened the barrier, they wouldn't have been able to escape. Seeing how cute it was, they were all attracted to it. Thank you for your help, Divine Beast. Yes, we want to thank you. Thank you, Divine Beast. Little Roar felt as if he was floating. Seeing so many beauties, he rubbed himself against their arms and touched their chests. Sima Ife saw that Sima didn't have the joy of being rescued, so he lowered his head and reproached himself. Sorry, Big Brother came late. He rarely called himself Big Brother, but this time, this Big Brother finally made Sima Yun regain her senses, and tears fell. Big Brother. That Big Brother contained rebirth after calamity, sadness, rejoicing, grievance, and heartache. It contained too many emotions, making Sima Ife, this kind of careless person, red-eyed. Sorry, I'm late. Sima Yun leaned on Sima Ife and shook her head. She cried for a while before she stopped. By this time, her panic and fear had dissipated by more than half. Sima Ife saw that her emotions had stabilized and said to Sima Chi, bring her to change her clothes. Sima Chi supported Sima Yun and said, let's go. Sima Yun came down and pulled her outer clothes tightly to prevent herself from being exposed. Chi, you were injured just now. Take the pill first. I'm fine. Let's go and change our clothes first. Sima Chi supported her behind a big rock at the side. When they came out again, Sima Yun had already changed her clothes, and Sima Chi had also taken the pill. Big Brother, why did you come to save us? That Divine Beast is? Sima Yun walked over and asked when she saw Little Roar mingling with the other beauties. That's Yu's spirit beast. Actually, she should be the one who saved you. Sima Ife said. You saw her? Sima Yun and Sima Chi were surprised when they heard Sima Yu's name. That **** is so strong. Who can lure him away? It's Yu's foster father, the Dragon King of the Violet Water Dragon clan. Sima Ife said. He then told them about how they left using the teleportation array and how they met Sima Yu on the other side of the teleportation array. But because of the oath, he left out the little realm and the spirit pagoda. I didn't expect that we would owe her such a big favor. Sima Yun said, if it wasn't for her, I'm afraid I would have. She couldn't help but tremble when she thought of that scene. Sima Ife went forward and hugged her, saying, when you see her, don't be too surprised. What's wrong? You'll know when the time comes. Sima Ife kept them in suspense. They were far away from Sima Yu when they came in and didn't hear much about her, so they didn't know she was a girl. When they met before, If she didn't take the initiative to acknowledge them, they wouldn't have recognized her. Then where are they now? Let's go over and take a look. If anything happens to her, I'm afraid we won't be at ease for the rest of our lives. Sima Yiyun said. To be honest, I'm worried about them too. But if we go, I'm afraid we'll drag them down. Sima Yifei said. How could they participate in a battle between Paragon-ranked experts? Not to mention losing their lives, they would also drag you and the others down. We won't participate, we'll just watch from afar. Sima Yiyun said. I want to see how this person dies. Sima Yifei felt her deep hatred. If he didn't let her see him die, he was afraid she wouldn't be able to let it go in this lifetime. All right then, let's go, Sima Yifei said. They went to look for Little Roar. That guy was still taking advantage of those beauties. When they heard that they were going to look for asterisk, those girls were so scared that their faces turned pale. They were determined not to go. Sima Yifei didn't force them and said, since that's the case, let's part ways here. You guys go look for your sects and clans. We'll go look for our friends. Those girls hesitated again. With the previous experience, they didn't dare to act alone. Sima Yifei, who saved them, was now their guardian god in their hearts. Why don't we go with you? A girl said, don't you want to see that bad guy get killed? When that girl said that, those girls' hearts began to waver. Finally, they decided to go together. But they had to stay far away and resolutely not get close to that big Inzun. Chapter 1163. Wai Honor arrived at Gate D and saw Wu Lamai and the others in the distance. It was you guys yesterday, too? Yes, Wu Lamai said. Hand over those girls. You're just a spirit beast with the strength of a supremacy. How dare you challenge me? Wai Honor looked at Wu Lamai with disdain, not taking him seriously. He had cultivated a divine skill, so his strength was much higher than people of the same level, not to mention people who were one level lower than him. It's enough to kill you, Wu Lamai said. Let's give it a try. Wai Supremacy attacked Wu Lamai, but Wu Lamai stood in place without any intention of counterattacking. He only threw a small ball over. How could a small ball withstand his attack? That was underestimating him too much. However, when the small ball collided with his attack, it exploded. It was clearly only the size of a fist, but it dissolved his attack. After waiting for the shock waves to pass, the elder beside Wu Lamai said, his strength is much higher than ours. We should go back and think of a countermeasure before we come again. That's right. Let's go back first. Wu Lamai had a very unwilling look on his face as he gritted his teeth and said, let's go. With that, they turned around and flew away. Don't you dare run. Wai Clan roared at them and chased after them. Needless to say, Wai Supremacy's brain was not very good. He chased after Yi Lingshun without considering if there was a trap. However, it was also because he was confident in his own strength. He felt that in a mortal land, no one could do anything to him. He didn't care about those things at all. Sima Yue and Sima Xian Shu waited anxiously. As long as Wai Zun was lured out, Sima Yiyun and the others would be fine. But this also meant that danger was coming for them. Coming. Xinshu, get ready. Their silhouettes were gradually approaching. Sima Xian Shu's palms were sweating nervously as he waited for Wai Honor to arrive at the top of the array. However, just as he was about to enter the area, he stopped in midair. That was because he saw Sima Yue. Sima Yue transformed into someone who looked very similar to her. When Wai Supremacy saw her, he was stunned. How could there be such a beautiful woman in the world? Although his strength was a little low, he was still very young. He could still improve in the future. When Sima Yue saw that Wai Zun had stopped moving, she wondered if he was suspecting them. She shouted at Wu Lamai, Godfather, you must kill him. Looking at Sima Yue's hateful and fearful expression, Wai Zun seemed to understand Wu Lamai's words. Ha ha, little girl, don't be afraid. Follow me, and I will guarantee that you will be able to do whatever you want in this world. Go away, you be asterisk Tisich, Sima Yue shouted. You're so bad, you won't have a good ending. Really? Ha ha ha. Then follow me and see how I'm going to live a carefree life in this world. Why Supremacy laughed. Sima Yue was trembling in fear. She turned around and ran. When Waizun saw her, he put Wu Lamai and the others behind him and chased after her. However, he was trapped after flying a few dozen meters forward. Dragon trapping formation. He recognized the formation immediately. He was a little surprised, but he did not panic. He was not in a hurry to get out. He looked at Wu Lamai and the others and said, "I was wondering why a spiritual beast like you dare to challenge me. So you set up a formation in advance." Sima Yue stopped and turned around to look at Why Supremacy, who was trapped in the dragon trapping formation. She did not know if the poison inside would work or how long he would be trapped. She flew back and said, "It seems that you know about this formation. Then you should know that you won't be able to get out of this formation. Is that so?" Why Supremacy was not in a hurry and said, "Did you set up this formation?" "That's right. It's specially set up for people like you." Sima Yue said, "So that you won't be able to go out and harm people in the future. You're very talented to be able to set up such a formation at such a young age." Why Supremacy said, "However, do you know that your formation won't be able to trap me for the time it takes to brew a cup of tea? As long as I want to get out, your formation will be broken in 2 moves. Then you can try. Let's see if you can get out in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea." Sima Yue said confidently. Why Supremacy loved Sima Yue's personality. She was so confident that he wanted to destroy her with his own hands. Once he got out and captured her, he would slowly destroy her confidence. Then you better watch carefully. He attacked the formation. The first time he attacked, the formation was already on the verge of collapse. Sima Yue's expression changed when she saw that. Why Supremacy saw her expression and laughed, then attacked a second time. After this attack, only a faint ripple was left in the formation. Why Supremacy casually released a wave of spiritual energy and broke the formation. "Not bad. You can actually withstand 3 of my attacks." Why Supremacy said with satisfaction, "In the future, your formation should be able to trap me for a longer time." Sima Yue's face turned pale and shouted, "Godfather, you want to capture my baby? You're courting death." Wu Lamai attacked him. "You're overestimating yourself." Why Supremacy waved his hand and dissolved Wu Lamai's attack. "You think you're worthy of fighting me with that little strength of yours? I'll show you what a true powerhouse is." Wu Lamai did not use his full strength. According to the previous plan, he had to maintain his strength before entering the domain. At the same time, he had to let Why Supremacy look down on him so that he could catch him off guard. Why Supremacy released a wave of spiritual energy at Wu Lamai. It transformed into a red spiritual beast and attacked him. Wu Lamai also released a water dragon and tangled with Why Supremacy's spiritual beast. "We'll help too." The few elders also released their spiritual energy and transformed into egrets to help Wu Lamai. However, they were not as strong as Why Supremacy, even if they combined. Not only was the front of the formation scattered, but it was also charging towards them. "Space lock!" Sima Yue shouted and sealed the transformed beast. Why Supremacy did not expect her to know how to use space lock. He was even more curious about her. She was able to set up a formation like the dragon trapping formation at such a young age and even understood space lock. If he waited for her to grow up, it would be unimaginable. "Little girl, you're really making me more and more interested." He licked his lips and looked at Sima Yue as if he was looking at his prey. "I'll make sure you'll never be interested. Explode for me." Sima Yue cried out coldly, and that transformed spirit beast exploded into spirit energy, dissipating into the air. "Little girl, I'll talk to you slowly after I'm done with your godfather. For now, you should go to the side obediently." Why Supremacy released his spiritual energy again, but found that his strength was suppressed. He closed his eyes to feel it and suddenly opened them to look at her. It was the first time he was shocked. "Domain. You used domain. How is this possible?" Chapter 1164. If he was only interested in Sima Yue before, he was starting to take her seriously now. A domain can only be comprehended by a venerable. You're just a little divine. How could you possibly comprehend it? Sima Yue looked at her and said, "You want to know? I'm not telling you. Godfather, let go of me." In other words, he had to make the best use of the time. If she wanted to trap an honorable realm expert in her own domain, she would need to expend even more energy. Therefore, he didn't know how long this domain would last. She had told Wu Lamai about this before, so when he heard her say this, he understood what she meant and attacked together with the elders of the Egret clan. Right now, there was no need for them to bully him with numbers. At this moment, killing him was the right thing to do. Sima Yue did not need to do anything. She only needed to control her domain. However, this was more important than anyone else. She couldn't use her domain in someone else's domain, but if she used her domain, he would definitely discover it. How could she use her domain unknowingly? No, it wasn't that she didn't notice it. Her movements were actually quite big, but they were all concealed by the spatial seal. She didn't use the spatial seal to deal with his attack, but to use it as a cover to display her domain. As for himself, he never thought that she would be able to comprehend a domain at such a young age, so he didn't think about it at all. He assumed that the fluctuation was caused by the spatial seal, because both of them really missed each other. Because of his carelessness, he had fallen into a passive situation. This was something he had never thought of in the beginning. Moreover, Wu Lamai's attacks weren't as weak as they appeared to be before. Each of his attacks was quite powerful. Coupled with the suppression from Sima Yue's domain, he was having a hard time dealing with it. When Sima, Yifei, and the others arrived, they were just in time to see them being contained in the realm. When they heard the conversation between Sima Yue and Spirit Paragon, everyone was stunned. Did I hear wrongly? Sima Yifei cried out. Domain? Sima Yue had actually comprehended a domain. How could this be? It's indeed impossible, but it can only be him. Sima Yun said. The others were all spirit beasts, and spirit beasts were unable to comprehend domains. Only Sima Yue and Y Supremacy were humans. If it was not Y Supremacy's territory, it could only be Sima Yue. Yu is mighty, Yu is awesome. Little roar rolled around in Sima Yun's embrace. At this moment, Sima Chi suddenly shouted, Sima Yue is a girl? Sima Yun finally reacted and saw that familiar face. It was indeed a woman dressed up. They were so shocked by what happened in Sima Yue's domain that they did not notice this at all. Now that they saw her like this, they were so shocked that they almost dropped Little Roar to the ground. Little Roar regained his balance a few centimeters before landing on the ground. Then, he flew up again and returned to Sima Yun's embrace, saying, What's so strange about my family's Yu being a girl? Sima Yue? Could it be the Vice Valley Lord of Heartbreak Valley? Sima Yue? That legendary rising star? Someone cried out in surprise. That's right. My family's little Yu is the Vice Valley Lord of Heartbreak Valley. Little Roar said, I didn't expect her to save us. What's even more unexpected is that she's actually a girl. Everyone was silent. A person who was younger than them was actually so powerful and even saved them. This made their hearts fiercely shocked. Indeed, we can't compare ourselves to others. This was everyone's final sigh. Let's retreat a little more. It won't be good if we get involved. Sima Yifei said. Although they were far away now, if they got involved, it would be too late for them to regret it. They retreated for close to a kilometer and stopped at the edge of their field of vision. This way, they could see what was happening over there. If something happened, it would be better for them to escape. The battle here quickly attracted a lot of people who came to watch. They could only watch from afar when they felt the shock of the battle. Isn't that person the Paragon-ranked expert? There's actually someone who can contend with him. So powerful, he can actually fight with a Paragon-ranked expert. No, it's a few people who are fighting with those people. Why is that young lady so close? Isn't she afraid of being involved? That's right. What a willful young lady. What do you know? Look, she definitely has a divine artifact on her. Every time an attack hits her, it disappears. What divine artifact? It can even resist a battle between paragons. No matter what grade the divine artifact is, it's definitely not something that people like you and me can have. That's right. Only those big powers would have such a divine artifact. What a lucky fellow to have such good resources. Isn't that so? The surrounding people were discussing animatedly. They didn't find anything wrong until Tang Yun brought the people from the Sage Pavilion over. These people are really powerful. The people from the Sage Pavilion side with those people. If only we had such a powerful divine artifact. At that time, we wouldn't have to be afraid of other people's battle affecting us. What do you know? Tang Yun looked at the battle in shock. That woman is the key. Assistant Pavilion Master, why do you say that? Domain, they're all in that person's domain. Tang Yun said something that even he didn't believe. It can't be Assistant Hall Master. Isn't a domain something that only paragons can comprehend? I used to think so too, Tang Yun said. But it's very obvious that the world has played a huge joke on us. It wasn't that those who were weak couldn't comprehend it, but that their talents were too low, so they couldn't comprehend it. Isn't that Sima Yue? Someone recognized her identity. That seems to be the Dragon King of the Violet Water Dragon clan. When I was outside the Immortal Land, I heard others mention it. Those are all spirit beasts. Then this domain really was comprehended by Sima Yue. This is too unexpected. Powerful. Let's not talk about her background. Just based on her talent, it's something that we can't compare to. Sima Yue also knew that many people had come. She had long guessed that this battle would attract people, so she wasn't surprised. As time passed, she felt more and more tired. Supporting the domain was really a physical task. If she didn't get rid of this guy, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to hold on. But looking at Wu Lamai, it didn't look like he could get rid of him in 3 to 5 minutes. No way, if this went on, everything she did today would be wasted. If he escaped, the possibility of catching him again would be a joke. Chapter 1165. Boom! Wu Lamai and Zun's palms collided violently. The shockwave from the collision almost flipped the elders over. Sima Yue's domain trembled. Ugh! Sima Yue was slightly injured and blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. Tang Yun saw her state and said, "The situation is not good. This Venerable One's strength is unexpectedly strong. Their levels aren't much higher, so why are they so powerful?" Someone asked. It should be related to his cultivation method. He used women as cauldrons and absorbed their essence qi, which was originally an evil cultivation technique. And this type of cultivation method is extremely damaging, but it can allow one's battle prowess to surpass ordinary people. Tang Yun explained. It doesn't look too different. Someone didn't understand. You two seem to be evenly matched, but that's in that little girl's domain. On one hand, she was suppressing the Venerable's strength. On the other hand, she was providing power to the Violet Water Dragon King. To be unable to take down the opponent in such a situation, if this Venerable isn't very strong, then what is? Tang Yun said. Not good. It seems like they're going to lose. Someone exclaimed. Wu Lamai didn't expect his opponent's strength to be so much higher than he had expected. The two of them had fought for so long, but there was still no clear winner. He could already feel that Sima Yue could not hold on any longer. Once the territory collapsed, she would definitely escape. Cutting the weeds without removing the roots was definitely looking for trouble in the future. The onlookers in the distance also understood this, but there was nothing they could do. After all, the level of their strength was obvious. Looks like I can't just stand by and watch. Tang Yun sighed. With a leap, he flew over to Sima Yue's domain and said, "Little friend, let me in." Because she didn't have a good impression of the people from the Sage Pavilion, when Tang Yun came over, she didn't let him in immediately. If he was here to save the Supreme, then wouldn't he be inviting a wolf in a house? Yu, your senior brother said that we could try to trust this deputy pavilion master. Little Spirit conveyed Wu Lingyu's message. Sima Yue did not expect Wu Lingyu to speak. Since he said he believed her, then she would believe him. She expanded her domain a little and enveloped him. Tang Yun didn't say anything else and immediately attacked. He was a man of few words and preferred to act directly. Wu Lamai was already on par with the supremacy, and now there was another supremacy. Although his level was lower than both of them, He had become the point that broke the balance. Once the scales began to tilt, it would be easy to topple them completely. It didn't take long for the two of them to subdue the other party. At the moment when the Paragon lost its fighting strength, Sima Yu's spirit realm collapsed completely, and she fell backwards. Yue! Everyone wanted to help her up, but they were too far away and couldn't make it in time. Sima Yue did not feel the stiffness of the ground. She looked up and saw Tang Yun's smiling foxy eyes. Yue, little friend, your appearance seems to have changed from before. Tang Yun said, let me do it. Wu Lamai ran over and said to the two. That pair of eyes that could see through everything made Sima Yue subconsciously guarded against him. At that time, in order to attract Supremacy's attention, she changed her appearance to look like herself. But she didn't expect so many people to recognize her. Since she had already been exposed, then there was no need for her to hide anymore. With a thought, Little Seven and Little Dream appeared in front of everyone. The moment they appeared, they supported her and squeezed Tang Yun to one side. Yu, are you okay? Little Seven asked. Sima Yue leaned on Little Seven and said, I'm okay. Little Dream, go. Little Dream understood what Sima Yue meant. She came to Supremacy's side and sent her consciousness into his mind. After a while, she came back and nodded to Sima Yue. Kill him. Someone shouted from outside. That's right. Kill this asterisk, 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 so that he can't harm girls anymore. Sima Yifei brought everyone over. Yue, how are you? Sima Chi-Chi and Sima Yun came to Sima Yue and asked with concern. I'm okay. Nothing serious. Are you two okay? Sima Yue asked. Everything was to save them. If anything happened, then her efforts would have been in vain. Almost, Sima Yun said. If it wasn't for you, I would have been defiled. Can you leave this person to me? Sima Yue didn't see Sima Yun's clothes being torn, but seeing her angry look, she guessed it pretty much. Anyway, Little Dream already got what she wanted. Whether this Supremacy lived or died, it didn't have much to do with her. Be careful. What if he suddenly reacts? I know. Sima Yun left after speaking. Sima Chi-Chi followed. Sima Yue sat on the chair and watched as Sima Yun went up, took out a long sword and stabbed down fiercely. The Supremacy, who was already on his last breath, was stabbed in the heart, and his vitality slowly dissipated. Because of a moment of carelessness and conceit, he inexplicably lost his life. Those girls saw that Sima Yun went to kill the Supremacy and thought of the fright they suffered these days, so they went up and stabbed themselves. Those who died were filled with righteous indignation and went up to stab themselves to vent the hatred in their hearts. Sima Yue sat at the back of the crowd, waiting for those people to vent their anger and disperse. What she saw was a corpse full of holes. Finish him off completely. Sima Yue said to Little Dream. Little Dream nodded and walked over. She took out a ball of black flame and threw it onto the corpse. Soon, the corpse turned into ashes. The Supremacy that everyone was afraid of for a few months was finally finished off. Those girls didn't have to be afraid and hide anymore. Sima Yue ate the pill and felt better. She left with Wu Lamai and the rest. Those people didn't even have time to thank her. When everyone regained their attention from the Supremacy, they had already left everyone's field of vision. When she left, Tang Yun looked at her back, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. Why do I feel that she has something to do with it? I don't know if this is a good thing or not. It really makes me curious. Sima Yue felt the probing gaze from behind. He saw that she was leaving, but he didn't say anything to stop her. He was one of the vice pavilion masters of the Sage Pavilion, and also the youngest Supremacy in the Sage Pavilion. Why did he help her just now? They found a place where there was no one. Sima Yue took out a small door and brought everyone to the Little Realm. Little Dream, what did you find in his memories? Sima Yue asked after entering. Chapter 1166. What did he find in his memory? Sima Xianshu and the rest looked at Xiao Ming, wanting to know what she saw. You sit down first. I'll tell you. Xiao Ming helped Sima Yue to a chair and sat down, saying that white supremacy wasn't like this in the past. Instead, he obtained a cultivation method of plucking Wide and Nourish Yang. He's the person we guessed before who killed everyone in one move. This year, he learned the cultivation method and began to look for women. What an evil cultivation method. Yes, this person was never a good person in the past. He has been stuck at his current level for a long time and is nearing the end of his lifespan. After obtaining this skill, he contacted me. Xiao Ming continued. If we hadn't killed him, he would have needed to collect another 9,000 women to advance. If he didn't die, wouldn't he have to kill 9,000 women? Sima Chi cried out. She was both afraid and glad to think that they had almost become one of the 9,000. I see, Sima Yue said. All right, are you going out to look for the Sima family, or are you going to stay here? We don't want to find those people. Sima Chi already knew that Sima and the others had given up on saving them. Although this could be said to be reasonable, the matter was originally caused by them. The fact that they abandoned them in the end made them not want to be with them anymore. Sima Yue didn't force her. Sima and the others weren't good people either. Then go and find a place to rest. I'll heal myself first. Sima Yue said, other than the lake, you can go anywhere else. Okay, let's visit this place as well. Sima Xian Shu and the other three left. Sima Yue looked at Xiao Ming and asked, what else did you see in his memories? When Xiao Ming was talking about that person's memory, no one noticed it, but Sima Yue felt that she paused. She must have something that she didn't say. Yu, I saw in his memories that Deja and the others went to a place where they disappeared. Little Dream said. Sima Yue was shocked and asked, is he sure? Little Dream nodded and said, that white supremacy once approached that place and felt a very strong spatial fluctuation there. By the way, the Sima family has also entered that place. Uncle Lu Feng and the others? Yes. Once he caught two women. When he was passing by, he glanced inside and happened to see the two of them. And it wasn't just them. Quite a few people had entered in the past few months, and their strength wasn't low either. However, no one came out. If it wasn't because he wanted to find a woman, he might have gone too. Little Dream said. Does he know what's there? Sima Yue asked. Little Dream shook her head and said, doesn't know. Sima Yue leaned back on the chair and folded her hands together, deep in thought. Yu, are we going? Little Seven asked. With so many people going, there must be something inside. However, they all left their juniors behind, which means it must be very dangerous inside. Sima Yue said, but we don't know how long Deja and the others will stay in there. If they stay until the immortal land closes, then it'll be troublesome. Then let's go in. I can protect you, Little Seven said. At this moment, Wu Lamai walked over and said, I once heard my ancestors say that if there's a hidden space in the immortal land, then it's either a great opportunity or great danger. It won't be just a small fight. If it's a great opportunity, then it's fine. If it's a great danger, then we must be strong. Sima Yue said, no wonder Uncle Lu Feng and the others left their juniors behind. Whether it's a great opportunity or great danger, they're weak and will drag everyone down. That's right. A great opportunity will cause people to fight for it, not to mention great danger. No matter what it is, let's go in and take a look. Sima Yue heard Wu Lamai's words and was a little tempted. If there was a great opportunity, then she would go and take a share of it. Okay. We'll go when Yu's body recovers. Little Seven said. Sima Yue saw her like that and smiled. She let them play by themselves and then began to meditate to recover. On the other side, Sima Yun and the others came to a small mountain. From here, they could see the living area of Blood Fiend City. I didn't expect that Yue has such a place. Sima Yun looked down at the lively living area and sighed. That's right, Sima Xian Shu said. We heard about what happened in Blood Fiend City. At that time, we were discussing how it was possible for so many people in Blood Fiend City to suddenly disappear. I didn't expect that they actually came here. Sigh, Sima Chi sighed. I didn't expect Yue to be a girl. We're both girls, but the difference is too big. It's really a blow. But younger sister is not bad too. Sima Yun smiled. We really have to thank her for this matter. If we didn't meet her, we wouldn't be able to think of a way to save you guys. Sima Fei said, especially in such a short period of time. The smile on Sima Yun's face faded. This matter made her eager to increase her strength. Only when she became stronger, then she wouldn't be bullied by others. All right, don't tell anyone about the little realm. Because we swore before that we won't tell anyone. Otherwise, we'll go to hell. Sima Fei warned. Don't worry, we won't tell anyone. Sima Chi said. Just based on the fact that she saved us, we won't do such a thing. Yes. Sima Yun nodded. Sima Yue, who was meditating and recuperating, was relieved when she heard what they said. Although she believed them, but she still wanted to hear it from them personally to be assured. But the people on the mountain didn't know that even though they were so far away, Sima Yue could still hear them. Because other people also had little realms, but they couldn't completely merge with the little realm. They were still lamenting about Sima Yue. Sai, Yue is so powerful. If she wants to return to the clan, those people definitely won't object. Sima Chi said. That might not be the case. Sima Xanshu said, although we didn't know what happened at that time, but it caused quite a commotion. At that time, many people participated in it. After that, there were many clan heads and sect heads who came to the meeting that day. Even an old ancestor was alarmed. Yes, Sima Yun agreed. If they insist on objecting, or if they have some agreement, even if Yue is very outstanding now, she might not be able to return. Chapter 1167. If he was only interested in Sima Yue before, then he was starting to look at her seriously now. Domain is something that only venerables can comprehend. You're just a deity. How could you comprehend this? Sima Yue looked at her and said, You want to know? I'm not telling you. Godfather, let go. Her unspoken meaning was to hurry up. If she wanted to trap a venerable in her domain, she would need to expend a lot more energy. Therefore, she didn't know how long this domain could last. She had already told Ulamai about this, so he understood what she meant when he heard her. He and the other Egret elders attacked together. There was no need for them to bully him with numbers. Right now, killing him was the right thing to do. Sima Yue didn't need to do anything. She only needed to control her domain, but this was more important than everyone else. She couldn't use her own domain in someone else's domain, but if she used it, he would definitely notice. How could she unknowingly use her domain? No, it wasn't unknowingly. Her movements were actually very loud, but they were all covered up by the spatial seal. She didn't use the spatial seal to deal with his attack, but to use it as a cover to unleash her domain. As for himself, he didn't think that she would comprehend a domain at such a young age. Therefore, he didn't think about it in that aspect. He only thought that the fluctuation was caused by the spatial seal. Because of the two, they were really similar. Because of his carelessness, he had fallen into a passive situation. This was something he didn't expect from the start. Moreover, Ulamai's attacks were not as weak as they appear to be. Each of his attacks was quite powerful. Coupled with the suppression of Sima Yue's domain, he was having a hard time dealing with them. When Sima Fei and the others arrived, they happened to see them being contained within the domain. Everyone was stunned when they heard the conversation between Sima Yue and Spirit Supremacy. Did I hear it right? Sima Fei exclaimed. Domain? Sima Yue actually comprehended a domain. How is that possible? It's indeed impossible, but it can only be her, Sima Yun said. The others were all spiritual beasts, and spiritual beasts couldn't comprehend a domain. Sima Yue and Supremacy, why were humans? If it wasn't Supremacy Y's domain, then it could only be Sima Yue. Yu is mighty. Yu is awesome. Little roar rolled around in Sima Yun's arms. At that moment, Sima Chi suddenly exclaimed, Sima Yue is a woman? Only then did Sima Yun react. He saw that the familiar face was indeed dressed in female clothing. They were so shocked by Sima Yue's domain that they didn't notice it at all. Now that they saw her in that state, they were so shocked that Little Roar almost fell to the ground. Little Roar regained its balance a few centimeters before it fell to the ground. It flew back into Sima Yun's arms and said, "What's so strange about my Yeye being a woman? Sima Yue? Could she be the Vice Valley Master of Broken Intestines Valley? Sima Yue? That legendary rising star?" Someone cried out in surprise. Yes, yes. My little Yeye is the Vice Valley Master of Broken Intestines Valley, said Little Roar. I didn't expect her to save us. What's more, she's a woman. Everyone was silent. A person who was younger than them was actually so powerful and even saved them. This made their hearts fiercely shocked. You really can't compare yourself with others. This was the consensus of everyone. Let's retreat a little more. It'll be bad if we get involved, said Sima Yifei. Although they were far away, if they got involved, it would be too late for them to regret it. They retreated nearly a kilometer and stopped at the edge of their field of vision. This way, they could see what was happening over there, and if anything happened, they could escape better. The battle here quickly attracted a lot of people who came to watch. Feeling the shocking battle, those people could only watch from afar. Isn't that person the venerable level expert? There's actually someone who can compete with him. Amazing. He can actually fight with a venerable level expert. No, it's several people working together to fight with those people. Why is that little girl so close? Isn't she afraid of being involved? Yes. What a willful girl. What do you know? Look, she must have a divine artifact on her. Every time we attack her, it dissipates. What kind of divine artifact is it? It can even resist the battle between venerable level experts. No matter what level of divine artifact it is, it's certainly not something people like you and me can have. That's right. Only those major forces can have such a divine artifact. What a lucky fellow to have such a good resource. Isn't that so? The surrounding spectators discussed and didn't notice anything amiss until Tang Yun appeared with the people from the Sacred Monarch Pavilion. These people are truly amazing. The people from the Sage Pavilion sighed along with those people. If only we also have such a powerful divine artifact. At that time, we won't have to be afraid of being affected by other people's battle. What do you know? Tang Yun looked at the battle in shock. That woman is the key. Deputy Pavilion Master. Why do you say that? Domain. They are all in that person's domain. Tang Yun said something that even he didn't believe. It can't be, right? Deputy Pavilion Master. Shouldn't domain be something that only honorable class experts can comprehend? I used to think so too, Tang Yun said. But it is obvious that the world is playing a huge joke on us. It wasn't that people with low strength couldn't comprehend it, but their talent was too low, causing them to be unable to comprehend it. Isn't that Sima Yue? Someone recognized her identity. That seems to be the Purple Water Dragon race's Dragon King. When I was outside the Immortal Domain, I heard about it from others. Those are all spiritual beasts, right? Then this domain is really comprehended by Sima Yue. This is too unexpected. Amazing. Let's not talk about her background. Just her talent alone is something that we can't even hope to catch up to. Sima Yue also knew that many people had come. She had already guessed that this battle would attract people, so she wasn't surprised. As time passed, she felt that it was getting more and more difficult to maintain the domain. This was really a physical task. If she didn't get rid of this guy soon, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. But looking at Olamai's appearance, it didn't seem like he could finish him off in 3 to 5 minutes. No, if this continued, everything that she had done today would be in vain. If he escaped, the possibility of catching him again would be even greater. Chapter 1168. Read 336. What are you looking at? Wu Lingyu reached out to grab a handful of her black hair and twirled it around his finger a few times. Sima Yue turned around and pulled out her hair. She pulled him up and said, "Let's go, I don't know what it is either." Wu Lingyu was pulled up by her and brought to the front of the small pagoda of the Spirit Pagoda. Sima Yue rarely came here. Usually, she would directly ask Little Spirit to take out whatever she needed. She would not specially come here. Every time she came here, she would be reminded of the time when she complained and got an afro. Little Spirit appeared and said, I thought you had forgotten about this matter. Haven't I been busy recently? Sima Yue said, Why don't you just tell me what's inside? I had to do it myself. You'll know once you see it. Little Spirit was still keeping her in suspense. Let's go. He brought Sima Yue and Wuling Yu in. They walked up floor by floor and stopped in between the third and fourth floor. A faint mist shrouded the staircase. Since Sima Yue had not gone up, the mist did not disperse. Go up, Little Spirit said to her. Sima Yue nodded and walked up the stairs. The clouds and mist slowly dispersed until she reached the fourth level, and all the clouds and mist dissipated. Wuling Yu followed him. The two of them stood in front of the door of the fourth floor, waiting to see what was inside that made Little Spirit so mysterious. Sima Yue took a deep breath and pushed the door open slowly. Unlike the previous floors, this floor was not an empty world of mountains and rivers, nor were there many mines. It was just a pitch-black room, a very large room. It's so dark. It's so dusty. Sima Yue waved her hand in front of her. You've become stupid after getting injured. Little Spirit said disdainfully. She had been behaving better and better recently, so much so that he had almost forgotten the time when he had often despised her. A few black lines slid down Sima Yu's face. This guy came to test her again. Didn't he just say that she could control herself? Wouldn't it be fine if he just reminded her? Why did he have to despise her like this? With a single thought, the pitch-black room immediately became bright. However, the scene that suddenly appeared made her stunned. Even Wuling Yu was surprised. After a while, Sima Yue regained her senses. She looked at the pile of scrap metal in front of her and asked in disbelief, These are the things in the fourth floor? That's right. Little Spirit replied affirmatively. Sima Yue pursed her lips. No wonder this guy wanted her to see it for herself. If it told her what was here, she probably wouldn't have believed it. Little Spirit looked at her face full of disdain and rolled his eyes, saying, You don't really think that these are just scrap metal, do you? Isn't it? Sima Yue turned her head with a look of confusion. Little Spirit couldn't help but roll his eyes again and said, These are all treasures. Treasures? Sima Yue took out something that looked like a hand. She really couldn't tell what kind of treasure it was. I said you're stupid, but you just have to say you're stupid. Little Spirit said, The real thing is inside, not here. It's at the back. Only then did Sima Yue know that there should be a door at the back of this house filled with scrap metal that was bigger than a few footballs. You should have said so earlier. She rolled her eyes at Little Spirit. Holding Wuling Yu's hand, she stepped on the scrap metal and walked over. These are all treasures, but you don't have the ability to do so. You can only treat them as scrap metal. Little Spirit said, Is that so? Then why don't you try and turn this into a treasure for me to see? Sima Yue said, If I had the ability, would I still be a weapon spirit? Little Spirit stared at her. Sima Yue curled her lips and ignored him. The scrap metal under her feet was uneven, so she had to walk properly. Yes, it was. They walked for a while before reaching the opposite side. After climbing over a pile of scrap metal, she finally saw a similar door. They walked down, and Wuling Yu went to open the door. However, the door didn't budge. You're useless. Only she can open it. Little Spirit said. This was her place. Only she could come and go as she pleased. Sima Yue walked over and pushed lightly. The door opened. Behind the door, it was still pitch black. With her previous experience, Sima Yue gave a thought and turned this place into daytime. Hiss! After seeing the things here, she subconsciously sucked in a breath of air. There were machine-like people standing neatly together. They were formed by the scrap metal outside. These are mecha people. She covered her mouth and asked in disbelief. That's right. Little Spirit said, I've said it before. Those are not scrap metal. It's just that you don't know how to use them. All right. I admit that you're right this time. Sima Yue walked over and touched the mecha people. To the people of this continent, these mecha people were like the robots in her previous world. They were of very high existence. It was said that these mecha people were more powerful than spirit beasts of the same level. It's really surprising. I didn't expect them to be mecha people. Sima Yue said, But how do we control them? How would I know? Little Spirit said, None of my previous masters did this. Do you know? Sima Yue asked. I know a little, but I'm not very familiar with it. Wu Lingyu said. Before he went to the Devil Realm, he had only heard about it. After he went to the Devil Realm, he didn't do it. What do you know? The way to control the lowest level mecha. Wu Lingyu said, it seems that different levels of control have different methods. Oh. Sima Yue didn't expect Wu Lingyu to know everything. Then tell me which are the most basic. I'll look for books on this when I go out. Then you have to differentiate the levels. Little Spirit said, why do I need to differentiate the levels? It's so obvious. I can tell with one look. Sima Yue said, oh, you become smarter? Little Spirit asked. Sima Yue couldn't take it anymore. She hugged him and rubbed his face. These mecha people all have different appearances. It's impossible that the more detailed they are, the lower the level, right? I still understand this point. She had already noticed that the mecha people in each region had different appearances. Some were rough, some were detailed. It was obvious that they were divided into different levels. There were even some that looked similar to a real person, just that they didn't have any expressions. Suddenly, her hand stopped. Her face was filled with surprise. She carried Little Spirit and walked towards one of the mecha people. Chapter 1169. Wu Lingyu and Little Spirit did not know what was wrong with her. Why did she suddenly stop talking? Sima Yue walked in front of one of the mechas. She was stunned when she saw the pattern on the skin of the mecha. Little Spirit turned around and saw that there was a black lotus flower under the mecha's collarbone that was similar to the one on Sima Yue's back. Black lotuses bloomed under that fair collarbone, looking exceptionally enchanting. Yu, this is the same as the one on your back, Little Spirit said, ignoring the existence of Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu narrowed his eyes. He had seen Yu's back. Although it was an artifact spirit, it was still a male. As long as it was a male, it could not be forgiven. Sima Yue looked at the Black Lotus and thought of the story between the Azure Sea Emperor and the woman called Yu. Black Lotus? Why is there a Black Lotus here? She muttered. This definitely had nothing to do with Emperor Kanglin, because this mecha was obviously earlier than them. But what was certain was that this person was definitely related to 9 Nether Mountains Emolian. Otherwise, Emolian would not have appeared here. However, without any records or legends about this, her doubts would remain as doubts forever. 9 Underworld Devil Lotus. I didn't expect to see this here. Wu Lingyu sighed. Senior brother, you know about the 9 Underworld Devil Lotus? Sima Yue asked. I've heard of some. Wu Lingyu said, I only know that the 9 Underworld Devil Lotus clan is very mysterious in the Ghost Realm and was once the ruler of the Ghost Realm. He didn't know anything else. Moreover, this was something that happened before my era. After so many years, I don't even know what it's like now. Since this person tattooed the ink lotus on it, it means that the owner of this 7-story pagoda has at least seen the ink lotus or knows about it, Sima Yue said. What do the 9 Underworld's Devil Lotus have to do with her? Why was there such a flower behind her? Don't worry about whether Emolian is Emolian or not. There's no use thinking about this right now. Little Spirit said. That's true. Before Sima Yue left, she reached out her hand to touch the Black Lotus. However, the moment her fingers touched it, she felt that the Black Lotus on her back was a little hot. The Black Lotus on the mecha seemed to have come alive. There were still 2 petals that hadn't bloomed, but they all bloomed under Sima Yue's touch. How could this be? Little Spirit whispered. Sima Yue was also shocked by the scene and stood rooted to the ground. Gotcha! The crisp sound was exceptionally loud in this quiet environment. Sima Yue lowered her head to look and realized that a mechanism had appeared on the lady's stomach, revealing an empty stomach. Sima Yue bent down and saw a box inside. She reached in and took the box out. This box also has a Black Lotus on it. Little Spirit said, Open it and see what's inside. Sima Yue looked around, but did not find any traps. Senior brother, take a look at this. How do you open it? She passed the box to him. Wu Lingyu took it and looked at it, saying, This is a Linglong box. I can't open it. Linglong box. What kind of box is that? Sima Yue asked. The Linglong box is known as the strongest box in the world. If you don't have a key, no one can open it. Wu Lingyu explained. Even if a paragon ranker attacked with all his strength, he wouldn't be able to open it. Back then, that person had such a powerful item like the 7-story pagoda and so many mechas. It wasn't strange for him to have this box. So powerful. Is it still a box? Sima Yue took the box and looked it over. I don't see anything special about it. This box looks very ordinary, but the material is very rare. Wu Lingyu said, now that you have this, you've picked up a treasure. Sima Yue smiled until her eyes narrowed. She giggled and said, why would such a strong box be hidden here? Other people can't open it anyway. Although the box can't be opened, if someone gets their hands on it, they will take it away. Wu Lingyu guessed. If that's the case, then he won't be able to achieve his goal of giving this to a specific person. Sima Yue was startled before she understood. He was saying that this box was left for someone related to the Mo Lian clan. Thinking of the burning behind her just now and seeing Mo Lian's transformation on the mecha just now, perhaps it was as he said. Let me see if there's a key inside. Little Spirit moved closer to the mecha's stomach and looked inside, saying, there isn't. There definitely won't be. Wu Lingyu said, this Linglong box's mechanism is different from other boxes. There's a small mechanism inside the box. Every time before it's closed, an item will be placed inside. If you want to open it again, you will need something related to that item to open it. Then how can this be opened? Sima Yue looked at the Linglong box. Something that could be placed inside and hidden inside the mecha's body must be very precious. But right now, she could only look on helplessly. This feeling really wasn't the normal kind of stifling. I think this should be related to you. Wu Lingyu said, you were the one who opened the mecha, so this box should be related to Mo Lian. Don't tell me I have to go to the Ghost Realm's 9 Nether Mountain to pluck a black lotus and place it on top? Sima Yue was gloomy and blurted this out without thinking. Even if you want to pluck it, there might not be one. Wu Lingyu knocked her head and said, since this is related to Mo Lian, then it might be related to your bloodline. Try dripping a drop of blood on top. Oh, Sima Yue didn't have high hopes for this. After all, that person could choose from thousands of items, and it might not necessarily be related to her bloodline. She cut her finger and dripped a drop of blood on top. She watched as the drop of blood fused into the box, followed by a click. It's done. Sima Yue gently opened the box. The box that was motionless just now actually opened. What appeared in front of them was a small space. It wasn't as small as it looked from the outside. There were many books lying inside. Sima Yue took out several books and flipped through them. They were all books on weapon refinement. Wu Lingyu took them and took a look, saying in astonishment, these books, what's wrong with these books? Wu Lingyu took out 2 of the books and said, these 2 books are on par with the formation book I found for you. So impressive. Sima Yue exclaimed softly. It could be seen from Big Wei and Little Wei's attitude towards her how high the status of that formation book was in the world of formations. Then weren't those 2 books the Mount Tai and the Big Dipper of the weapon refinement books? These 2 books are handwritten notes. It looks like a weapon refinement master casually jotted them down on his own. I read 1 or 2 of them, and they are all very insightful insights. Chapter 1170. Book title, A Gift Specially Prepared by Zhang. Sima Yue knew that Wu Lingyu's skill in smithing was very high. If even he had a penetrating opinion, how amazing must he be? However, this person's grade was definitely not low, since he even had a Mount Tai level refining book. It was not surprising that he was able to come up with such insightful insights. Wu Lingyu continued reading. Towards the end, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes, but then he understood. These are suitable for you to read. He handed the books to her. Sima Yue looked at him in confusion. These manuals range from beginner to advanced. Wu Lingyu said, it's obvious that they were prepared for a newcomer. That good? It is indeed a little surprising. Wu Lingyu said, A normal Almighty's handbook wouldn't have something as basic as this, but it seems to have everything here. That is indeed strange. Sima Yue said. If it were an ordinary person, I wouldn't find it strange. But looking at all these, Wu Lingyu glanced at her. It should have been left behind especially for people like you. If she hadn't discovered it, but someone else had, she would have left it to that person. Who is that almighty being? Why did you leave these behind? Sima Yue asked curiously. Wu Lingyu shrugged. Even she didn't know about this, let alone a demon king like him. This? Wu Lingyu turned to the book at the bottom and exclaimed. What's wrong? Sima Yue moved her gaze away from the letters and asked. I think only you guys can open this book. Wu Lingyu handed the book to Sima Yue. Sima Yue placed the other books in Wu Lingyu's hands and took the book. Seeing that the pages were blank, she said, Wordless heavenly book. Look ahead, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue flipped the book over and saw the words mecha techniques written on it. This is a book on building and controlling mecha, she asked in surprise. Why isn't there a single word on it? How will others see this? Look at the first page, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue flipped to the first page. It said, if you can open this box, then your bloodline should be able to decipher the secret technique in this book. Bloodline again? Could this person actually be our ancestor? Or perhaps they carry Mo Lian's bloodline? Sima Yue said. Otherwise, why would everything be related to bloodlines? It's not impossible. Wu Lingyu said, let's give it a try. Sima Yue tore open the wound and let out another drop of blood, dripping it onto the book. The blood seeped into the craft paper, and black words slowly appeared on the book. It really works. It seems like this book really needs your bloodline, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue flipped through the book and stopped when she saw that the words on the last few pages were different. This was left behind by that person. Sima Yue saw the clues after skimming through the first few lines. She quickly finished reading the few pages and sighed endlessly when she reached the end. What does it say? Wu Lingyu asked. It's also about a love story related to a woman from the Black Lotus clan. Sima Yue said. It should have been earth-shattering at the time. Unfortunately, it didn't have a good ending. It seemed like the two love stories she knew about that were related to the Black Lotus clan didn't have good endings. When she thought of this, she glanced at Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu held her shoulder and said, That's someone else's story. We're different from them. Don't worry. MHM. Sima Yue indeed didn't worry too much. She didn't think that other people's things would happen to her. Right? Speaking of which, this woman is also called Yu. At least, that's what this person called her. Wu Lingyu raised his eyebrows. Also called Yu? The Azure Sea Emperor's beloved woman was called Yu, and this woman was also called Yu. Was this really a coincidence? That's really a coincidence. Could it be that people from the Black Lotus clan all like to call themselves Yu? Who knows? Sima Yue said, but look at this. With this book, I've long been able to learn how to control these mechas. I believe that it won't be an easy task. Wu Lingyu said, it definitely won't be easy for you. Why? Why do you think he put so many weapon refinement books here? Wu Lingyu reminded her. Ah, Sima Yue slapped her forehead. Don't tell me only weapon refiners can control mechas. You'll know when you see it. Wu Lingyu said. All right. Sima Yue flipped through the book again. This time, she flipped to the title page. There are only a few sentences on it. She glanced at the words inside and was instantly speechless. Other than the lowest level mechas, the rest can only be controlled by pill refiners. What the hell is this? Wu Lingyu looked at her in amusement. She was a pill refiner, a ray master, beast tamer, seeker, and so on. The only thing she wasn't was a weapon refiner. Now that all these treasures could only be used by weapon refiners, it would be strange if she wasn't hopping mad. Don't forget, you promised Ling Long that you would help her. It's been so many years, but you still haven't started learning weapon refinement. Little Spirit reminded from the side. Sima Yue rubbed her head and said, I'll learn as soon as possible. In recent years, she had been really busy. She simply didn't have that much time to learn weapon refinement. But now, looking at this room full of mechas and thinking about those scrap metals that could be used outside, she'd better go learn. Don't worry, you're still smiling. There's still a long, long time to learn. Don't push yourself too hard. Wu Lingyu said. I know. Sima Yue pursed her lips. Why don't the lowest level mechas need to be a weapon refiner? Little Spirit asked. Because it's easy to control the lowest level mechas. If you want to control them, you just have to inject your own spiritual energy into their energy source. Sima Yue looked at the mechas and said, although I don't know where the energy source is, I think it should be relatively simple. Let's talk about it after I've properly researched this matter. Every minute in the Immortal Land was precious. This was because the opening time was limited. Thus, weapon refinement could only be done after leaving this place. With these books, it'll be easy for you to learn weapon refinement. Wu Lingyu said, don't you know weapon refinement? Then teach me. Sima Yue said, I'll ask you if there's anything I don't understand. Okay. Wu Lingyu nodded. But if I teach you weapon refinement, will I be your master? Sima Yue glanced at him and said lightly, what do you think? I think this suggestion is not bad. Go away. Gentlemen's Assembly. Chapter 1171. In the end, the master-disciple relationship was not established, but they spent more time together. This put him in a good mood, because every minute and second he spent with her was so precious. They stayed inside for a few days before Little Spirit left, leaving behind Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu to study the mechas. Come, let's try, Sima Yue said. She pulled Wu Lingyu to the front of the mechas. The two of them each found a low-level mecha and began to control it. Wu Lingyu was done very quickly. She crossed her arms and looked at her. Why are you so fast? Sima Yue looked at her gloomily. Wu Lingyu's lips curled into a smile. I'm talented. There's nothing I can do about it. She glared at him, ignored him, and continued to fiddle with her own. Wasn't it just because he knew how to refine artifacts? What a bully. After a while, she succeeded as well. The mecha began to understand her thoughts. It's really not bad, she said with a smile. This kind of low-level one isn't very useful. It doesn't have high combat power, and it's not very agile. Wu Lingyu said, but it can be used when there's no one around. Sima Yue pursed her lips. This guy had high standards and even pointed out her weakness. Armament master. She would definitely become an armament master. Sima Yue thought about how she was going to look for Deja, Sima Lu Feng, and the others. She didn't know what was going on inside, so she controlled a few more mechas just in case. Not bad. It's a pity that there aren't many intermediate and advanced ones. Sima Yue said, there are at least tens of thousands of low-level ones and fewer mid-level ones. The only high-level one seems to be that woman's. Wu Lingyu said, according to usual pattern, there should be quite a number of middle-ranked and above. It was impossible for there to be so many low-level ones and so few mid-level and high-level ones. There should be something else. Sima Yue released her divine sense and saw a door behind the mecha. There's a door there. There should be something inside. Let's go take a look. Wu Lingyu nodded, holding her hand. He walked over and found that there were 3 doors. This time, he didn't push the door open. He let go of her hand and let her go. Sima Yue came to the door in the middle and pushed it gently. The door did not move. No matter how hard she tried, it didn't budge. Sima Yue took 2 steps back. This house can't be opened. Wu Lingyu looked around and didn't find any traps. I'll try the other 2 doors. Sima Yue went to the door on the left and tried to push it, but it did not budge. Could it be that this wasn't something she could open? She tried a few more times, but the results were the same. She gave up and went to the door on the right. She thought the result would be the same, so she used a lot of strength this time. But the door opened with a light touch. Because she used too much force, she fell inside. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of something falling to the ground could be heard. Wu Lingyu went over and shot out a flame. He saw a certain someone lying on top of the mecha. In front of her, a pile of mechas were piled up. Sima Yue covered her face and said softly, I don't know what's here. I can't use my divine sense. Because it was too dark, because she couldn't use her divine sense, and because the impact was too strong, she didn't stop and fell onto a mecha. The mechas were placed neatly. When she fell, the mechas behind her fell like dominoes. It had been many years since she did something like this, especially in front of him. It was really too embarrassing. Wu Lingyu didn't think much of it at first, but seeing her like this, he laughed softly. Why, what's there to see on the ground? Are you planning to keep lying there? Sima Yue lay on the ground and didn't get up. It had been a few hundred years since she was embarrassed like this. Wu Lingyu walked over and helped her up. What's there to be embarrassed about? Get up quickly. However, Sima Yue was still lying on the ground and staring blankly at the mechas. Wu Lingyu walked over. He thought she was embarrassed, but he didn't expect her to be staring blankly at the mechas. These mechas are prettier than me? Sima Yue sat up and said, Look, they all have this. Wu Lingyu saw that there was a black lotus in the place where she pointed. It wasn't as pure as the other lotus flowers, but it was beautiful. What's so strange about it? Wu Lingyu said, Didn't you see it on that mecha before? Look at the center. There's a small golden. The one outside doesn't have it, Sima Yue said. Wu Lingyu glanced at it. You're right. These mechas all have it, Sima Yue said. And when I was close to it just now, it looked like a word. She took out an object that looked like a magnifying glass and injected spiritual power into it. The object on that side was folded into an S shape in the air, magnifying the golden dot many times. It really is a word, Ling, Sima Yue said. I saw the words he said at the end of the book. Although he had deep feelings for that woman, his love was humble. Even so, he only hoped to leave a small place in her heart. Wu Lingyu saw that she was a little sad, so he pulled her up and hugged her in his arms. Then I can only say that I'm very lucky in comparison. We're both women of the Black Lotus clan, but I can receive your love. So you have to treat me better. I'm the one who made you so lucky. Understand? Okay. Then you have to listen to me when I talk. Okay. Before you recover your strength, you can only stay here. Okay. Sima Yue smiled and reached out to hug his waist. She leaned her head on his chest and listened to his heartbeat. This was the best sound she had ever heard. The mechas here seemed to be average. Sima Yue said, Something is suppressing my divine sense, so I can't use it. Let's go look for it. The two of them looked around. They couldn't use their divine sense, and it was such a big place. This was a time-consuming project. The two of them searched for a long time and finally found the culprit in a corner. It was a piece of metal that suppressed divine sense. This spirit weapon doesn't look big, but it can actually suppress our divine sense. Sima Yue said, It's thrown on the ground so casually. How big of a deal did the previous owner have? Perhaps it's beyond our imagination. Wu Lingyu said, We have to keep such a good treasure. Who knows, it might come in handy in the future. She put the thing into her spatial ring, and the suppression on divine sense immediately disappeared. Okay, let's go out. She had stayed here long enough. Since the two of them couldn't be opened, then she would wait until she had time to slowly study them. When we get there, if something really happens, let me out. Don't forget that I still have them by my side. Wu Lingyu exhorted. Chapter 1172. Read 336. Sima Yue understood that the them he was referring to was the one who had eaten the pavilion master of the Sage Pavilion in Cloud Sea City. Please search, pin, and book yen. Com to see the most complete. Update the fastest. If there's really something that I can't handle, I'll definitely call you out. Sima Yue said, If it really reached that point, then it must be a matter of life and death. When she left the Spirit Pagoda, a day had already passed outside. Little Seven sensed her coming out and ran over, asking, Yu, when are we going out? Sima Yue removed the enchantment barrier and let her in, saying, In these 2 days. Before we go in, let Iyun and the others go out first. That's right. Speaking of Iyun, she came to look for you before. She probably has something to say to you. Little Seven said, She asked me to tell her when you came out. Sima Yue thought that Sima Iyun was different this time and said, I'll go look for her. She easily found out where Sima Iyun was, and it just so happened that she was in a daze on the small mountain peak like last time. With a thought, she appeared behind her. A person suddenly appeared, and Sima Yiyun was shocked. She stood up abruptly, and when she saw that it was Sima Yue, she heaved a sigh of relief. She smiled and said, "It's you. Have you recovered?" "It's done." Sima Yue walked to her side and sat down. She then patted the spot beside her and said, "Have a seat." Sima Yiyun sat down and said, "I really have to thank you for this matter. I'm not the only one who saved you. Adoptive father, Yifei, and Shu Shu worked together to save you." Sima Yue said, "And most importantly, I happened to meet Yifei and the others. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that you were caught." "All right, where's Chi-Chi?" "Chi-Chi is playing downstairs." Sima Yiyun said, "She's all right. Nothing happened. She's still the same as before." "Aren't you the old you?" Sima Yue asked. Sima Yiyun looked at her. "Don't think that I can't tell that your eyes are different from before." Sima Yue said, "You used to be very gentle, but now you're more resolute and aggressive." Sima Yiyun was stunned, then smiled bitterly. After experiencing some things, people will naturally become different. "Have you been defiled?" Sima Yue asked directly. "No, but almost." Sima Yiyun said, "At the last step, he was lured out. So your change isn't because you lost your virginity." Sima Yue said, "Then, is it because you feel weak and want to become stronger?" Sima Yiyun looked at her. She didn't expect her to understand her feelings. "You don't have to be so surprised." Sima Yue said, "I understand that feeling. That feeling of feeling so small. That feeling of wanting to become stronger. That's why you improved so much." Sima Yiyun was envious of her. How long had it been since they last met? She didn't improve at all, but they heard from Little Seven that she did a lot of things these few years and saw her improve a lot. But she also felt sorry for Yue. Her parents were missing, so she had to do so many things to strengthen herself. Speaking of which, they who grew up in the family should feel ashamed compared to her. Sima Yue shrugged, agreeing with her. If there wasn't so much pressure, she wouldn't have walked so fast. But she felt tired along the way. If she could, she didn't want to be like this. She would rather walk slower. But seeing Sima Yiyun's complicated gaze, she said, "Everyone has their own life. It might not be good for me, but it might not be bad for you." If Uncle Lu Xian and the rest knew, how heartbroken would they be? Sima Yiyun sighed. "Although your achievements are enough to make your parents proud, based on our understanding of Uncle Lu Xian, they will definitely be heartbroken." "Have you seen my mother?" Sima Yue asked. Sima Yiyun shook her head and said, "We don't know what happened at the beginning. We only know that something big happened outside. It's related to Uncle Lu Xian and your mother, but we haven't seen them. When Uncle Lu Xian came back, he was holding you in his arms. Not long after, you disappeared from the family. We thought you were killed by someone. We didn't expect him to take you to the Yilin continent." "You haven't seen my mother," Sima Yue said. Looking at her, she really hadn't seen her. That matter wasn't dealt with in the family. At least your mother didn't come to the family. But later, I heard that many people came to the family, and even an old ancestor came out. Sima Yiyun said. This answer was no different from what they overheard before. It seemed that they really couldn't hear any useful news from their generation. "I also hope that I can be their pride, but the premise is to find them." Sima Yue said, "I will go out in a while and have some things to do. Naoyin Zun is dead, so you won't be in any danger when you go out." Sima Yiyun understood that she meant to let them go. "Are you going to the place where Uncle Lu Feng and the others went?" Sima Yiyun asked. "Yes." Sima Yue didn't hide it. "They made you stay, so I don't dare take you in. It's dangerous inside." Sima Yue raised her chin towards Bloodfiend City and said, "I'm not alone." Sima Yiyun glanced at the city and knew she was talking about those people. They also went to the city these few days and saw those people. They were all fierce, and it was hard for her to intimidate them. "All right, then be careful," Sima Yiyun said. She didn't say that she would go in. Since Uncle Lu Feng and the others said that they couldn't go, then they would go to other places to look for opportunities. After talking to Sima Yiyun, she quickly found the other 3 people. Sima Yue took them out of the little realm and then went to the place in Eunzoon's memory with Little Dream, Little Seven, and Chingy. It's here. Little Dream took them to a plain. There were weeds here that were almost taller than a person. They stopped in midair. Little Seven looked around and said, "There's nothing special here. Are you sure?" "It's here." Little Seven said affirmatively. He saw a lot of people disappear here. Sima Yue called Chongming over and let him see what was different here. Chongming sensed it and then pointed to the place Little Seven said, "There's a folded space here." Folded space? What is that? Is it like the space created by the Rubik's Cube? Little Seven asked curiously. Chapter 1173. Yeah, what's a folded space? I've never heard of it before. Little Dream said, "A folded space isn't a sealed space. It's different from the Rubik's sky." Chongming explained, "A folded space is actually connected to the outside world, but because her space is different from the outside world, it looks like a folded piece of paper. That's why it's called that. Although we can't see it, but even if we keep walking forward, we might be millions of miles away from that place." Sima Yue knew about this, but she didn't expect a folded space to be formed here. No wonder Deja and the rest aura suddenly disappeared. It was because they were too far away. That thing was useless. Sima Lufeng and the rest should have the same reason. To be able to change a space, it means that there must be something here or something had happened before. Chongming reminded Sima Yue. No matter what it was, it meant that the danger here wasn't low. Sima Yue nodded, indicating that she understood. "Then let's go in." In order to prevent the situation of everyone getting lost, she took everyone in and planned to let them out after she went in. She took out a red rope and tied it to a blade of grass. Then, she kept walking forward. Every step she took was very careful because she didn't know what was inside. She also didn't know if there would suddenly be a spatial rupture. When she got close to the place that Little Seven mentioned, she felt the pressure on her body suddenly tighten. Then it disappeared, indicating that she had entered the space. She looked back. The red rope was less than 100 meters away from her. It was still fluttering in the wind. She walked a few more steps. When she turned back, the red rope was already gone. This should be the reason why Honor saw those people disappear. She took out the scroll and looked. Sima Yun and the rest's aura couldn't be found. It meant that they were at least a few 100,000 miles away. This was because the widest range the scroll could display was hundreds of thousands of kilometers. She looked. There wasn't anyone special here, or rather, there wasn't anyone special here, so the scroll was useless here. She kept the scroll and took out the underworld weapon that Diwu Yi gave her. She noticed that the needle on it moved slowly and stopped at a direction. "You guys are really here." Sima Yue kept the underworld artifact and flew in the direction she had pointed at. However, even though it was said to be flying, it was actually not much different from walking. Because there were spatial traps everywhere, she had to be very careful. After walking for a while, she felt that she had used up too much of her divine sense, so she called Chongming out. After Chongming came out, he first transformed into a human form. After observing the situation inside, he transformed into a bird that could only seat one person. There are many spatial faults here. If you accidentally walk inside, you will never be able to come out. Chongming said. "I know." Sima Yue nodded. It was precisely because there were many faults here that she had to walk so carefully. But why did Deja and the others come to such a dangerous place? Halcyon lived up to his name as a space-type spirit beast. He had an innately keen sense of space. After shrinking his body, he was actually able to fly quickly in this place. After flying for 2 days, Sima Yue took out the underworld artifact and noticed that the needle on it had become faster. This meant that she was getting closer to Deja and the others. After Chongming flew for a few days, Sima Yue let him rest for a while to recover his divine sense. Chongming transformed into a human, and she took out a few pills for him to eat. "This place is huge," Chongming said. "Although it's not as exaggerated as 1,000 miles in one step, it's not far off. Why would there be such a place in the immortal land?" Sima Yue said. Since so many people came in, they must know something. When we meet them, we'll capture one of them and ask. Chongming said. That's the only way. Sima Yue said. If we can find Deja earlier, we can ask him too. She originally wanted to call Di Wui out and ask him how far they were based on the underworld artifacts display. But she suddenly remembered that the space here was not stable. They might be able to reach the far distance in a short while. If that was the case, even if they could determine how far they were, they would not know when they would reach. They made a D halfway up a mountain as a rest for the day. Now that they wanted to find a stable space to rest, they had to find such a big place. Otherwise, it could be a spatial fault. They cleaned up the D mountain that they just made. She let Chongming go in to rest and called out little Seven and the rest were making a fuss in the spirit pagoda. Then, she sat at the D mountain and looked into the distance. Space was really a magical existence. It allowed people to live in it. It could be far or near. It could be sealed into a small world or expand into a boundless continent. This was the first time she deeply experienced the diversity and danger of space, as well as its variability. She closed her eyes and felt the spatial faults and folds around her. Unknowingly, she opened up her territory. Little Seven and the rest were walking at the foot of the mountain. They felt something touching them. When they reacted, they felt that the aura around them had changed. This space can change, Little Seven said. This is not a change in space. We're in her territory. Ching, he explained. You use territory? We haven't been in here before. Little Seven said. It's safe here with you, right? The space here is not connected to the folded space outside. That meant that there were no faults, no folds, and no spatial compression here. They could run as they wished. Really? I want to see what you use territory looks like. Little Seven cheered and ran. As she had not been in here before, she was curious about everything. Little Dream and the rest were the same. With Hua, the three ladies looked here and there. They were very excited. Qingyi did not go with them. She looked at a certain someone who was meditating in the middle of the mountain. Once again, she was amazed by her talent. You just learned your territory not long ago, and you're already expanding it. How did you do it? For decades, he had seen too many geniuses. Even if they were in other people's memories, he had never seen someone with such talent. He could feel that Sima Yoyue's territory was more stable than before. Its range had expanded. If she were to fight against white supremacy now, she could at least hold on for a few more minutes. If she let him know that when Sima Yuyu tested her spatial talent, what she saw was an endless universe, what kind of expression would he have? Chapter 1174. Read 336. When Sima Yue woke up, it was already the next day. She noticed the changes in her domain and smiled happily. Only when she put away her domain did the people inside realize that she was awake. Yeah, you're awake? Little Seven and the others walked over and looked at her excitedly. Okay. Sima Yue stood up. You're amazing. How long has it been, and you've already comprehended it? Little Seven said. Sima Yue smiled and said, That's because the space here is different from the outside. No matter what, you're amazing for comprehending it. It was rare for Qing Yi to praise her. Chongming came out and said, Should we continue our journey? Yes, it's better to get the 100 Ghost banner as soon as possible. Also, I have something to ask him. Something about his mother. Because Chongming had to shrink his body, Little Seven and the others could only reluctantly return to the Spirit Pagoda. Sima Yue took out her dark artifact and confirmed the direction of Deja's group. Then, she asked Chongming to continue the journey. However, the deeper they went, the more distorted the space became. Previously, Deja was in this direction, but after a few hundred miles, they would be in another direction. In this state, there was no way to track him down. Since there was no direction or distance to speak of, she simply didn't follow this rule. She let Chongming go back and walked around in the space. In this way, they were able to find them after more than a month. Planting a hua with the intention does not blossom, but planting a willow unintentionally, the willow grows. The ancients did not deceive me. She sighed in her heart. She didn't hide her tracks because they had already discovered her before she saw them. Or rather, they had been waiting for her for a long time. What are you doing? Do you know where this is? How dare you come here? Do you want to die, or do you want to die? Deja saw her and came to her, scolding her to her face. Sima Yue looked at him. What was the difference between wanting to die and not wanting to live anymore? I don't know where this is. I don't want to die, but I also want to live. I didn't want to come here either. How dare you come here if you don't know? If you don't even know where this is, then what are you doing here? Deja didn't wait for her to finish her sentence and shouted at her with a cold face. Did she know how dangerous this place was? Half of the people he had brought in had died here, and she actually dared to come here alone. This was simply enough to scare him to death. Deja's subordinates lowered their heads to look at the ground when they saw their boss flipping out. Are you worried about me? Sima Yue saw that although he was yelling at her, his eyes were filled with worry and fear. She was even more certain of her previous guess. Of course I am. Deja stopped halfway through his sentence. This little girl must have found out, which was why she dared to talk to him so fearlessly. Sima Yue looked at his cold expression and said, If you're like this, you must be worried about me. But didn't you want to kill me before? Deja was at a loss for words again. Seeing her understanding gaze, he said, You know about it? Know what? You don't know. Know that you were my cousin. Deja's face darkened. Was she teasing him? His anger rose, and he was about to explode. But when he saw that similar face, he controlled himself. The people behind him felt the surrounding air pressure drop, and then it disappeared. Only then did everyone continue to breathe. Sima Yue saw that he wanted to flare up, but couldn't. She felt that he wasn't that annoying after all. Deja took 2 deep breaths and asked, When did you know that I am your cousin? A few months ago. Sima Yue said, But I wasn't sure. Now I'm sure. How did you know? I killed you Du and captured Diwu Yi. You told me. Sima Yue said, Diwu Yi? The person from the Diwu family who followed you Du? Sima Yue nodded. Then why are you chasing after me? To reunite? Deja glanced at her, making her feel that he didn't really want her to be with him, because what he wanted to do was too dangerous, and the space here was too dangerous. He thought that she would back off after saying that, but she rolled her eyes instead. You think I will be interested in reuniting with you? If that's the case, you Do he is my biological uncle. She was talking about someone like you Do? Was that useless trash the same as him? Deja felt that he was going to be angered to death by this cousin who was only a fraction of his age. But when he saw that she looked similar to his aunt, he couldn't bear to get angry at her. Then what do you want? Why are you looking for me? Sima Yue was satisfied with his performance. She had provoked him a few times, and he had tolerated her. It seemed that Diwu Yi was right. Even if her mother's whereabouts were unknown, he would still remember their past friendship. She didn't want to hide her purpose. She said directly, One is to confirm if you Kaluo is my mother. Another is to ask you something, and then I want something from you. Deja also wanted to make a confirmation and said, Release the aura of your ghost race. Sima Yue did as she was told, but she only released it for a few seconds. She was afraid that if she released it for too long, she would lose control of her ghost aura. Although it was a short time, Deja was very sure. You are indeed my aunt's daughter. Your aura is similar to hers. Others can't be so similar. The first problem was solved. So, it is. Sima Yue finally confirmed. After so many years, she finally knew her mother's name. What other questions do you have? Deja said. But if I answer your questions, you have to leave this place. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Are you threatening me? You can think of it that way. Deja didn't deny it. Sima Yue smiled. My master once said that my mother and I have similar personalities. Do you think she would compromise if it was her? It was hard to say. It's really dangerous here. You are God-ranked. Do you know how dangerous it is here? Deja rubbed his head. I'm asking you to leave for your own good. I know it's dangerous here, but looking at you guys, I'm afraid I'm better off here. Sima Yue said confidently. Their losses were not small. On the contrary, she didn't even have a small wound on her body. They were speechless. All right, now you can answer my questions. Sima Yue said. No matter how hard he tried to persuade or threaten him, it was useless. Deja felt helpless. What do you want to know? That you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.